Hello, everybody. Congratulations. You made it to a Friday night. Thank you for being here. We know you have many choices to make, and we appreciate you guys spending some time with us for Facts After Dark. Facts After Dark. A little change of pace from what we normally do, but we always try to have, these nights can go in a myriad of ways. You never know what the topics are going to be. You never know what kind of conversations we'll have, but we'd like to have fun, maybe let off a little bit of steam, but we appreciate you guys being here very, very much. There's a gifting goal. Please consider gifting. Please consider subscribing to our channel. Also, check out the new merch. Hey now, Facts After Dark hoodies. Cool stuff in our merch store. You'll find the link to the merch store in our bio. And it's absolutely, check it out. I'd be curious. I know some people have ordered some stuff, and I'd be curious as to what you think of the quality. A benefit for subscribers: if you subscribe to our channel, you get a 10% off coupon to or any purchases you make in the merch store. So again, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it. So the topic this evening: tell us your dating horror story. And last week we did this really interesting thing where someone sent us a really bad pickup line. And then that turned into just a whole conversation about some of the most horrible and disgusting pickup lines like ever. Good evening, Amy Dawn.
Good evening. Or afternoon.
How are you?
I'm quite well. It is no longer triple-digit temperatures here in the devil's anus of Azurasian sun.
Azurasian, right.
Azurasian.
So have you been thinking about your dating horror story today?
Oh, I've really been hard pressed to come up with anything too awful except for the pickup lines that I received last week. So yeah, those were
So you don't have a dating horror story?
I
Really?
mean, I guess maybe.
Well, that's okay.
Maybe
no pressure.
Maybe I have to recall, because I very much there's not a lot that shocks me, I guess. So maybe my bar for what's horrible is pretty high. So maybe I'm going to be inspired by other stories, and it'll be some shadow work for me over here. Like, I've unpacked a memory that I've been hoarding in the psyche of my hoarder house. So,
right. I get that.
No.
So obviously, people, we don't want these things to turn into, hopefully these are positive experiences that we can all look back on and laugh and maybe cringe a little bit. Obviously, people might have some difficult things they may want to talk about. We can certainly do that too. As is always the case, this is a space for people to feel free to talk about whatever the hell they want to talk about. So that's sort of the goal, right, for our conversations. Thank you, Ryan. You're so sweet. Ryan, why don't you get some merch, bro? I know you love us. You show up every week.
I have my Husker merch on today. Bug eaters all day.
Nice. Husker Nation.
People don't know we were the bug eaters before we were the corn huskers. I think I need to start a petition to take us back to bug eaters.
By the way, thank you, Jess, for reminding me. We are live streaming on YouTube as well. If you're interested, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find the link in the link tree. And while you're over there, please leave a comment, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. We're trying to generate a little bit more activity on that channel, so you'll get the notifications that pop up. So what happens is we stream live, and then the live is then archived. So the lives from this past week, if you found them entertaining, and yesterday certainly was entertaining, feel free to head over there. And again, check out the merch. So I thought what we would first start with was someone sent us in a worst dating horror story, and I have a good one for myself that I'll share.
I've been more excited to hear yours, to be honest.
Well, let me read this one first. Let's set the mood. So this came from our friend VTENG05, unable to make it tonight, but they said that we could read this, so I'm happy to do that. So this person, so everybody, please request if you have a dating horror story that you'd like to share, and everybody please like and share the live. Tapping is clapping, sharing is caring. Let's have some fun tonight. Let's dive in. Let's get spicy. I was 27 and set up with this girl by some friends. Didn't really know anything about her before meeting her. She was a lovely person. When I arrived to pick her up for dinner, she invites me in while she's finishing getting ready. So I head in and sit down at her dining room table to visit while she's finishing up. Her two long-haired cats come by and say hello. And here's the problem. I'm allergic to cats. If they rub on me, I'll swell up. Hey now. And if there's a lot of dander and hair in the air, my throat will close. I wasn't waiting for her long, so I didn't think much of the cats causing a reaction until we were about halfway to dinner and my eyes started to swell shut. We make it to dinner, get in the queue for a table, and I have to say, listen, this is going to sound terrible, but I have to go get some eye drops or I don't think I'm going to be able to see you or safely drive you home. Do you want to come with me or wait here for our table? I promise I'll return. and not strand you across town. She chose to wait for me. She chose to wait for our table, and while I ran to CVS for some eye drops, went back to dinner, had a pleasant time with her. But that was our one and only date.
Wow. Well, that's a heck of a way to find out you're not compatible. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have that horrible cat allergy, it's interesting. I was going to bring up Erica, see if she has a horrible dating story. Hi, Erica, and thank you again. Look how great the merch looks.
I've got my merch on from my merch store, I'm afraid. Oh no, hang on a moment. Look what's right next to me is my
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go.
I look really cool now, right?
All available in the Facts merch store. So tell us your dating horror story, Erica.
Which one?
I don't know. Are there many?
There's a few. Okay, so funny ones. I went on a date with a guy who spoke exactly like Ned Flanders from The Simpsons once.
Oakley dokley.
Yeah, exactly like that. And if you go on a date and you're finding it so awkward, you can't look at the person you're on the date with, like your eyes focus on every other part of the room. And I just couldn't take him seriously at all. I went on another one. I told you about this one last week. I went on a date with a guy with narcolepsy and I fell asleep in front of a movie.
Yeah. No.
So, yeah, I went.
Can't write that joke. I mean, seriously.
I have to say though, right? It wasn't going well prior to me falling asleep because I went to his house and he cooked me dinner, right? Okay. This was our first date, by the way. I don't know why the fuck I agreed to this, but I went to his house. He cooked me dinner and he burnt peas. The vegetable I've never known.
How do you burn peas?
I have no clue, but he managed it.
Wow.
And then I fell asleep in front of a movie. He was awake the whole time. Maybe he put something in the peas. Anyway, let's not think about that. Let's try not to. Okay. Let's try not to. I went on a date with a guy once that after about half an hour, 45 minutes, made a really racist comment, like really racist. And then you have to do how do I leave this date without...
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Do people, so I haven't dated in a very, very, very long time. And I'm wondering, do people have like a code? Like you have your sister, your friend, 20 minutes, you call me at this number and I'll let you know, and we'll have a code word to say, send in the life raft.
I think I went to the toilet and I called my friend who was out and about in town, and I was like, why don't you just turn up where I am? And then
were you like
I was in my 20s for sure.
Okay, that's fair, because I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know if I would be able to find the door fast enough. If that happened now, I would have the moxie to just be like, oh, yeah, we're not going to work.
Oh, Erica now would have punched him straight in the face.
They wouldn't have taken me.
No two ways.
Niceties would have been
We
no.
don't promote violence unless it's a date gone wrong.
Well, I do have, now that we're talking, I do. Okay. It wasn't a horror story per se. It could have gone that way. Absolutely. The potential for it being a horror story could have definitely been there, right? So this was the mid-90s. The internet was still pretty brand new. And
Al Gore had just invented it.
Yes. And then, then we all learned it's Beyonce's now. But back in the day, we thought it was Al Gore. And we used our phones to dial up, right? And all
Erica, can you mute? Your mic is super sensitive. Thank you.
All I had was a I mean, we probably all had them. The Commodore 64 with the black screen and the green letters. And I think we were just getting used to email being a kind of a regular thing, and we could maybe attach a picture to the file, right? And so I was on this bulletin board. It was called ISCA, Iowa Student Computer Association. And we would chat, right, by text, which was the thing that we did back then. It was like, oh, look at us, how we're connecting with other people across the world, because we're all in this little chat room and all we're doing is talking. And you had to know, like DOS, MS-DOS and command prompts and stuff. Like it was back in the day, right? So anyway, I befriended this lovely human, at least, by all accounts, he was lovely. At least the things he typed on the screen were lovely. And so then he lived in Rochester, New York. Mind you, I'm in the middle of the Middle West in Nebraska. And he says, well, why don't, and he worked from home. Back then it was very new to work from home.
Impressive. Yeah.
He was a computer something or another that allowed him to just work whenever. It was very, very advanced and all that. And so he basically called me on the telephone. The telephone had a curly cord attached to it, and it went into the wall, right? For those of you who don't know what that is, it's called a landline. And he called me on the telephone, and he was like, you know what? I really want to see you. I'm getting flights right now. Would you like a window or an aisle seat? Oh, well, that would be super fun. Yes, I would like a window seat, please. And he got the tickets and he mailed them to me, and I went to visit him in Rochester, having never met him other than talking to him on the computer. And I had a 2-year-old at the time, and I left her. I left her with some family friends, and they were like, are you sure you're good?
Yep,
Like,
I'm going.
are you sure?
That's funny. That's funny.
You sure this is okay? And they were like, we didn't have the find me anything back then.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, it was back. You had to have the quarter in your pocket that your parents gave you when you left the house, so you could use the payphone.
I literally, I'd had an emailed picture from him to just confirm. I guess we didn't worry about, was that really a legit picture? It looked like it was. I mean, I don't know. There was nothing that really made me know that I was not walking into horror. And, fast forward, it was a lovely time, and he treated me very nicely, and it was quite cool. And we toured the Kodak Museum, and
there you go. A good time in Rochester. Who knew?
Yep. Yeah. It was pretty gross, though.
Hi, Phoenix. Thank you for your patience. So, you got a dating horror story you want to tell us?
Oh my goodness. I feel like, what's that? Like, the new revised Sex in the City, and just like that. Like, I'm in my 50s now and I'm dating. Oh my goodness. It's a whole other level at this point. So, I had started my online journey, and it's more of like, I don't know, just like an experience, if you will, back in 2002 on Match.com. And that's when, general society was like, oh my gosh, you're going on the internet to date. There's crazies out there. Actually, no. Men back then, granted, I was in my late 20s then, early 30s, well, late 20s, yeah. They actually took you out to dinner, like dated you. It was okay. You would wait maybe a few weeks to meet someone. It was nice. You didn't jump into anything. Now, oh no, they don't make it past like the second message on the app. It's very different. But I ended up meeting my ex-husband on there, and my story's a little triggering, but I'll keep it light just because it's, it's a light. We're keeping it light here. But met my ex-husband, and I didn't know that I met him in person at a club. That's when the clubs were happening back in 2008. And maybe 6 months, 7 months later, saw a picture, his tagline, attorney seeking partner. And I never go after the lawyer types, it's more like chemistry. But I thought, you know what? He's good looking and he has a good job. Well, I'm going to go for this. He was very narcissistic. Needless to say, that didn't work out. Divorced him. I went back up to Northeast Ohio. I ended up on the dating app. Ended up dating a biker, swinger, Elvis impersonator, January 6th MAGA, all in one person. Oh,
Not the
yeah.
lawyer you thought.
Not well. I myself, I did a 180.
Wow.
Just turned a bad girl, whatever. But he was very charismatic. Now, this guy was definitely psychopathic, like very much so. There was some serious stuff there, but at the end of the day, it brought me to TikTok, and I've been so educated and met the nicest people here. And I know you do political lives, and I really thank you for your education. But on a lighter note, like I met somebody, and we went downtown Pittsburgh and stuff, had drinks, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go back to my place." And I was like, "What? We never discussed any of this." So I leaned over to the bartender and I asked the bartender for an angel shot. Next thing I know, I'm being escorted in the back alley and they called me an Uber to my car and everything. Oh my God. Ooh.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Can't imagine being out there in the world today, but
It's
thanks
I had
thanks
some
for sharing that
better
story, Phoenix.
experiences. Yeah, better experiences back then. But now, just a safety note, ladies, be careful. Be careful out there.
Yeah,
Up until the January 6th thing, I was into that guy you were just talking about, the biker, swinger, Elvis impersonator guy. I was like, what's his number? And then you said January the 6th. And I apologize about my mic, by the way. It was turned up really loud
that's
for no
okay.
good reason.
Yeah, we turned your mic
I have
on
a
18 weeks early in the
screenshot
evening.
if you're interested. I have a screenshot of some of his antics about sharing conspiracy theories. So please feel free to follow along, everybody. I'm very vocal about my experience.
We need a break
But I'll
from the
let you go.
conspiracy theories. That's why we do this on Friday night. We deal with that Monday through Thursday. But thank you,
Yeah,
Phoenix.
I mean,
I appreciate
I'm
you.
not spreading that. I'm not, but it's, I'm just talking about my experience and everything. But thank you for letting me share. I really
You got
appreciate
it.
you. Have a
Thanks.
great day.
You too.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot. See you later.
See ya.
I recalled another date, and this is a short story.
Okay.
When I first moved here, and before Darius and I were exclusive, and I was still dating around, I had a date with a guy, and he brought his wife.
Oh, that kind of date.
Yeah, they were shopping for a third.
Gotcha. Jess is laughing.
I kind of forgot to tell me that, though.
That
I'm
reminds
also
me.
laughing because
surprise.
Erica said she didn't mean to have her mic up. Meanwhile, we're talking about dating stories, and Erica's breathing heavy into the mic.
I was just breathing normally. My mic was just on really loud. Just saying. But that reminds me of one, Amy Dawn, that I had. So I had a guy. I this guy came to see me do stand-up comedy, and then and at the end, I had just been on, and just after I'd been on, he said to me, "I have to go. I've got to go and pick my wife up from the airport."
Like, I'm not against polyamory. Just let me know that's what we're doing. Like,
Let me make a choice on my own.
right. Like,
Yeah.
I'm good with it. I've, 3, 4, 5. I mean, swinging. I mean, whatever. That was all good in my 20s, so I could probably get that again. So whatever.
Well, there you go.
Let me know. Full
It is-
disclosure, please. That's
It is
all
Facts After Dark, after all.
Hey, now.
Hey now.
Love it.
Hi, Jess. You got one for us?
Hi, guys. So I have so many dating horror stories, but I wanted to just see. I think I'm now called a Zennial. Is that like the new thing? Like I'm in between millennial and Gen Z.
We're going to nominate you for
Late
Gen X.
90s,
We're going to ceremoniously include you into the Gen X club. I don't know if you care.
Okay.
but we're
No,
gonna put you
I
there
love
anyway.
that.
Hear it. For whatever. You're very
But
Gen
so
X.
I don't know if anybody remembers like Palace, like those types of chat rooms. If anybody in the chat remembers, there used to there
Not me.
back in my day. I'm about to freaking date myself. So we used to have these places where we would go in and make like a character. It was kind of like a live thing where you would walk around and you would walk up to people and like talk to them and you would date them. Yes,
Like
chat
Sims.
house. Yeah, like Sims, except you were actually the person. You would make your person. And that was like the big dating thing when I was younger, like online. And then I just remember you guys were talking about it. And I just remember, I think Amy was talking about not having, the landline. And I just remember when I was dating a guy, I used to have a pager and they used to page 143, which meant I love you. I was like, oh, this made me feel so old.
Pager. Oh God.
Seriously. And you'd have to go back to the payphone to call them. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, the payphone. The payphone.
I miss those days, to be honest, though. I miss the old dating days because the courting is what Amy was talking about. The
Yeah.
courting, I miss that.
Well, the
Now it's
payphone
just like,
certainly you didn't have an online history. There was no. I mean, literally, it was just like you took out a want ad, or you did a little video or whatever. I mean, again, it's been a long time for me.
We had party lines when I was a kid.
Sure, party lines. Yep.
or Amy, remember when we used to have to get in touch with somebody and then we'd have to do an emergency breakthrough because they were on the phone and it would beep? Did you ever have to emergency breakthrough?
Yeah, we had those too. Yeah, we used to play. The telephone game literally with like a group of us, and we would call people and tell them, "Oh, you got to call Rich, or you got to call Steve, or you got to call Mary." And then the story would just change the next day. People were like, "You lost your dog? What are you talking about?" No, I couldn't find my math homework.
Yes, Nikki, you'd have to actually talk to an operator and tell them you need an emergency breakthrough.
That's exactly right. I'll tell my story because I think it's kind of funny. It's not really a horror story per se, but I just think it's a funny story. So I have to kind of set context first. So I used to work in radio. So I started working in radio when I was a freshman in college at the University of Vermont, and worked at a rock station in town. And I did that for most of my college. I did multiple jobs, all kinds of things to pay my way through school. And one of the benefits of being a DJ at that time was before, when there was actual DJs, unlike what you get now. When bands would come to town, you get to host the bands and you get to, meet the bands on occasion. So this particular summer, this was the summer of 1990, is that right? Yes. So Bad Company was in town. They were on their Holy Water tour, for people who remember that band. So just to prove what I was saying here, hold on a second. Right here. So there's your boy, 22 years old. In the corner.
Oh my God.
I know. I look like a little kid. So this down here in the front, this is the band Bad Company. So this guy right here on the end is sort of the protagonist of our story. So let me get rid of my picture when I was 22. Anyway, so
I need a copy of that, please.
No.
Yeah.
I was going to take a screenshot.
No, we're going to burn it for posterity purposes now. Thank you very much. I was like 6'1", like 145 pounds. I was like a mop. Anyway, so the band was in town like for 2 weeks. So that was a charity softball game that they played with us. So I got to know the guys in the band, and I was the afternoon drive host of the radio station at that time. So I interviewed them. So kind of this cool thing. So there was this girl that I wanted to date, and part of being the host radio station for the band gave us the opportunity to get VIP passes, backstage passes, the whole 9 yards. So I had that feature. So I said, listen, would you like to go see Bad Company with me? VIP passes, I'm going to be doing the emceeing. And she's like, yeah, that'd be great. So I walk out, just, the house is packed, the lights go out. I walk out on the stage, ladies and gentlemen, Bad Company. Kind of a cool moment. I was psyched to walk off the stage. She and I were watching the concert together. So after the show, we go downstairs into the green room, and we're hanging out. We're waiting for the band. Everybody's kind of in their dressing rooms. So that guy that I showed you in the picture, he's probably 6'1", handsome guy. He's the bass player, just really good looking dude. Walks out of his dressing room with a banana hammock on. And let's put it this way. He had quite the banana for the world to see. And it obviously made an impression on my date, because you could tell. So we're just kind of hanging. He's just standing there talking to people with his banana hammock on, comes over, hey, Steve, mate, good to see you, hug the whole 9 yards. So I'm like, okay, nice to see you, buddy. So we hung out there for a little while. No pun intended. So then afterwards, the plan was to go back to the hotel, to the suite, which they had rented. So I'd been there a couple times. I'd been hanging out with the band a couple nights during the week. We'd had a few beers, so I knew where I was going. So I get in my 1984 Volkswagen Rabbit with my date. We drive over there. It's like 4 miles away. It's like now 11 o'clock at night. Eventually, the band shows up around 11:30. So we're all hanging out, having a good time. There's probably 50 people in there, some people from around the community, some people that were affiliated with the station, their management team, their crew, and I'm starting to get to know people, and we're having some good old time, little 420, little champagne cocktails, and all of a sudden I'm looking around and I can't find my date. I'm like, where is my date?
She eating a banana.
So I'm looking around, can't find my date anywhere. So I'm thinking maybe she's, I don't know, wandering around with people. I saw her talking to some people. Long story short, it's now 2:30 in the morning, and I'm like, I can't find her anywhere. So I'm getting a little bit worried. So I'm like, 22 years old, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what's going on here. This is crazy. So I eventually drive home, and I call her roommate I call her house when I get home. Her roommate answers. I'm like, have you seen Becky? I'm sorry, Becky, if you're watching. I apologize for using your name. I thought she was with you. Come to find out, they did in fact hook up that night. Her, and the banana hammock, and she quit her job and went on the road with them for a month. She quit her job and went on the road with them for a month.
So you were the wingman.
I wasn't even the wingman. I didn't even get that far. But I just thought it was really, really interesting. I'm thinking, so if you're gonna get dumped, you might as well get dumped for a rock star.
That's right.
Let's not judge. She may have been potassium deficient, and that was the better
That's true.
I can guarantee you she was not after that night. Let's put it that way.
She got a potassium shot.
She sure did.
I was going to say two things. Number one, you've aged like a fine wine.
That's right.
First of all. And secondly, you know that we're going to find you a banana hammock for Christmas, right?
Yes, the new Facts merch, Erica.
Yes.
Put a banana on a hat.
Banana. I will do. In fact, give me 5 minutes. I will make a banana hammock background.
All right, fine. I will show the picture one more time. I promise. That's it. There you go. Actually, here's better. There's a close up, kind of. Anyway. There's the picture. Okay.
I love. Did you know what made me laugh about that? I don't want you to look at me in this picture, but here's a close up of me in this picture.
Somebody said they wanted to see it. There you go.
All right, everybody got the screenshot. Everybody screenshot it.
No,
right?
Done.
I am jumping down, guys. I love you, Erica, Amy, Fat Steve. I love you guys. Bye.
We love you too.
See you later, Jess.
So I have a story from a viewer.
Okay.
It's been sent to us. Our beloved Moth sent us this. And I quote, Moth's voice isn't too great, so they asked, would we read this? And here I go. Audible.com coming at you.
Thank you.
You bet. I had a guy ask me out, and then he showed up to pick me up for our date. Little did I know that we were having dinner with his parents. Right off the rip. We're having dinner with... Okay. Okay. Well, okay. Because they were driving and his mom talked to him like a baby the entire time. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Nah. So I was stuck at the restaurant with a grown man and his parents interviewing me like we were getting married. I couldn't leave and had to suffer through the whole ordeal. We were both in our early 30s. Imagine being chauffeured to the restaurant with the mom.
That could have been Ned Flanders. Oakley dokley. We're here at the restaurant.
I don't know that I'd date again after that. I think I might just give it up. That's
wow, Moth. Thank you for sharing that story with us.
I hope you're okay. If you ever need any free therapy, our Discord is always open, my friend.
And sorry.
There's a Discord?
No, not for you, Rusty.
So speaking of dating horror stories.
Not for clones. No.
Wait,
I'm sure you were the topic of multiple people's dating horror stories.
No. Legendary adventures. I'm sure.
Legendary adventures.
Okay,
Yeah.
wait. Are we saying dating horror stories or dating horror stories?
Well,
because they're very different.
Hey, you know what? It's Facts After Dark. It's open to interpretation.
Let's say we like both. We're polyhorus.
Yes, exactly. No judgment.
No judgment.
Hey, we all grew up in the 80s.
Right? That alone.
And apparently Amy Dawn was like 3, 4, 5, whatever. I don't care.
Neglecting hose water makes you flexible. What can I say?
That is true.
Yeah.
That wasn't all that made me flexible, but that's another story.
I set it up for you, Rusty.
You did. Thank you.
Put the ball right on the tee. So, you have one to share?
I just came in the room. I'm not entirely sure what we're sharing.
So, do you have a particular dating horror story, or one that just makes you laugh as you think back on your dating days?
Well, I got to go through the Rolodex. Hang on.
The Rolodex,
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I'm a
You might be-
thousand. I
Yeah,
still have a
your
Rolodex.
memory.
right next to your trapper keeper.
And my penny whistles and phosphate.
Your members only jacket.
Oh God, never owned one of
the
those.
members only
Never owned
jacket.
one.
Me
Even
neither.
back,
Never owned one. Never
nope.
had one at
Even
all.
back
Nope.
then, I said not on a fucking bet.
Well, you missed out on me then.
There,
That
there,
was
there's
a great
one.
yes.
There is one that kind of sticks out in my head. I got set up on a blind date a while back, 1,000 years ago, and I show up to the restaurant to meet her, and she's nice enough, but
Yes,
as we
Reese, jean jacket with pins on it, absolutely legendary, no doubt. Sorry, Rusty.
no, as we're sitting having a conversation, within about 5 minutes, her absolute racism started coming out. We were in a Mexican restaurant with Latino wait staff, and she's just under her breath muttering about all these, damn Mexican this, whatever. I'm like, okay, I got to get out of this, and I got to get out of this as soon as possible. And then she started going on almost within a couple minutes about her Christian ethics.
Oof.
Yeah. So I waited until she was not looking at me, looking around the room. And I reached into my shirt and I pulled out my Thor's hammer.
Oh, good.
So now it's hanging around.
I wasn't sure what he was going to say he was pulling out. So I
Hey, now.
Oh no,
I mean,
she was not going to get the honor of anything else being pulled out. But but no, I just let the Thor's hammer hang there. And she
the
turned
Thor's
back.
hammer tells me you pulled out something though. Like
He's
that.
like, is that a euphemism?
No, I refer to those as Frank with Sammy and Dean, the hangers on. God. Anyway, once she noticed the hammer, she didn't know what it was. But she kind of recognized it wasn't Christian iconography. Mm. And she's like, oh, what is that? I said, oh, this is just a symbol of my religion. But please go on. I'm so interested. And I just started staring at her without blinking. And just not letting her escape my gaze. No, what you're saying is so fascinating. Please move on. I'm enthralled by everything you have to say right now. Yeah, and made it super creepy. And after, I don't know, another 10 minutes or so, her nerves kind of hit her, and she said, look, I just don't think this is going to work. And she got up and left. And not 60 seconds after she left, and I'm getting ready to, just pay the tab and leave, our waiter came over and he sat down at the table. And he looked at me and said, blind date? And I said, yeah. He said, yeah, she was an atrocious pig. I overheard her. Don't worry about the bill. I was like, wow.
At least you had emotional support after all that.
That's right.
I did, but
I guess you can call it that.
Yeah, and I, had a free margarita. Awesome.
But, it was the overall win.
Well, if we're gonna say that, booze is the overall win.
Yeah, Rusty, she's in the request box. She wants to tell her side of the story.
Net game, yeah, right. She's like, let me up. This is not accurate.
It was not Thor's hammer.
No.
What really
More like
happened?
Loki's twig. But
Can I just make an observation? I just like to make an observation for a second. The topic of banana hammocks came up, and Erica's been very quiet and off the
I
app
was
for a
going
few
to say
minutes.
that's not a good sign.
I'm
and
just saying.
The Discord is chopping up right now about how you
Just
get that
saying.
Or she's really busy.
Erica's making a banana hammock T-shirt for the merch store.
Oh, and Erica, I definitely want to powwow with you.
Yes.
I'm booked most of the weekend, but next week I'll send you a DM, and because I think I'm going to start building my merch store with.
Don't you be the subject of a dating horror story for Erica now, Rusty. You be nice. You leave her intact.
I'm being nice to Eric. I've always been nice to Eric.
Can we please not use the words "leave her intact"? Like,
it's way too late for that.
What? How am I
educational purposes?
Emotionally, that's my only.
Do I need to play the disclaimer?
Please do leave her intact. Please do not remove any of her vital bodily organs.
They do that around here. Yeah.
Any of them, or just specific ones?
Goodness.
I'm already missing a gallbladder.
We just talk about the comments never cease to get triggered, no matter what we're talking about, because your nail polish and the fact that you're delusional to MAGA is still being discussed, which I love that for us.
Of course it is. Of course, Well, hold on. Let me do this while you're here, Rusty.
Yes.
They've allowed. Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. There's so many.
Hello, children. Well, it appears that our dear friend FactsStillMatter has some issues with some of you not paying attention to the rules and regulations of his live. So I'm going to address this to the great grand lords of TikTok so that they understand that we have certain standards that we are living up to on this broadcast, and you better do the same. So, hello, TikTok. It is our intention during these live broadcasts to only use fact-based information to the absolute best of our ability. We strive to never spread misinformation or platform those who do. Now here comes the fun part, children. Opinions of our guests or commentators are theirs and theirs alone, and do not reflect those of the host. And judging by what we've heard from time to time, your opinions are way out there. Hate speech is not allowed, and we are diligent about policing it. 'Cause, hate speech. This platform is for educational purposes only. And it appears to this clown that some of you really, really need some education. So sit back, relax, have a cocktail, put your pants back on, and listen to the Facts Still Matter broadcast, already in progress.
I have a little pushback on our disclaimer.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
I really think pants should be optional. I'm not really feeling having to put my pants on.
Everybody's a fucking critic.
Can't please anybody these days.
Well,
Rusty,
when I
thank you, my
recorded
friend.
it,
Thank you very much.
That's amazing, by the way. That's the first time I've heard that.
when I recorded it, I almost said, "Sit back, relax, take your pants off," but I thought, no, let's.
Because they're already off.
Yeah. So put
Yeah,
those
you
pants
assume
back
they were
on.
ever on, my friend. You assume they were ever on.
Thank you, buddy, for jumping in, and thank you for doing that. There's another one. We'll play that one at a different time, but there's another one.
I think that comments about your opinions are out there. Yeah, that tracks. That tracks.
Yeah, it really does. And Gregory, if you're in the chat, I have people asking for the other clown intro. So no rush, buddy, but just putting a bug under you.
Got that too somewhere.
There's a bug under me.
Hey now,
Oh.
Nikki. Yes.
I'm cleaning my screen off again.
Because of laughing. Yeah, you didn't know that was coming, did you?
No, I didn't.
You probably need to disinfect your whole house at this point.
Probably.
Look, every time I would see a Rusty video, I've spit my drink out on my screen all the time. This I did not expect. I everywhere. Like, it's all over.
Can I just say the double entendre tonight is out of control? Nikki needs to clean her screen off because she didn't see it coming. Like, come on, can we sort ourselves out here?
All we need is a beat to step
My
two.
date left
Step
me for a
two.
protein injection.
I mean, I normally have to clean my screen off when I'm watching
Potassium.
German
Potassium.
videos, but that's another story.
Yes,
Somebody
that's true.
come up with the drums, and we'll put it to a beat. We got Lars.
That was freaking hilarious. I didn't expect it, and I just figured that Rusty would get a kick out of knowing that I now have to clean off my iPad screen again.
Oh, thank you, Gregory. I appreciate it, buddy. Again, no rush if you're running behind, but just people are pinging me.
Thank you, Rusty. Thank you, Nikki. Appreciate you.
Hey guys, do me a favor. Since there's 235 people up here, since I'm up here, can you guys please tap the screen up on the top? There's a little heart me. Send the heart. What it does is cost a coin, and it just engages in the live. And oh wow, our shares are awesome. So I'm not even gonna bug you about the shares. The link to the Discord is in his bio and in Gregory's bio, who's right up there with the little red, white, and blue icon. Huh?
There's a Discord?
Not for Rusty because he doesn't wear pants.
Which reminds me, I'm going to be tapping the screen, but that might not be my finger.
Okay. I want to go to MJ. I think MJ has a story to tell.
Bye.
So
I don't want no. Bye.
bye, Nikki.
Bye.
She's had a day. We're not going to overdo her. She's already.
Bye, Rusty.
Bye.
Hi, MJ. How are you tonight?
Hi.
Welcome to the party, MJ.
Thank you. It's meow meow, but like in Swedish.
Meow,
Oh, meow meow. Sorry, meow.
Love
I like that
that.
better. Meow meow. I like that. Meow meow. Thank you for being here.
I'm nervous to tell this story because I think I've never told anyone or I've told my twin. Oh god. So the music you played earlier, the clown music, my ex used to listen to that on like a 10-hour loop along with Crazy Horse, and now I'm just like low-key traumatized from that kind of music.
Oh, goodness. So sorry.
Oh yeah, I'll get over it someday, I'm sure. And maybe that's why I feel a bit nervous now. But anyway, so it was a Swedish guy, and he could make himself vomit, and I have a phobia of vomiting.
Oh, that doesn't have to become a trick.
Yeah,
Hey,
Like a party trick?
no, he just could make himself do it. Some people can, I guess. So I can make myself burp. I guess maybe it's similar. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, insane. But he only did it to punish me, and he did it twice. One time, we were on a train, and he did it just like randomly, publicly, and I had I'm afraid of it, so I stood up and apologized to everyone around us for him puking very loudly on a train. And yeah, that was that, and he didn't apologize, and it was insanity. And then I think either before or later, I'm not entirely sure, because trauma. He was very upset about insane things. Wouldn't get help, despite me offering it and being supportive and all that. And he made himself puke on my cat, like my actual cat, not a euphemism. And yeah, it was horrible.
well,
That certainly qualifies as a horrible story.
here's
Okay.
all I have to say is I hope that he got some therapy, and maybe if you need some, that would be okay too, because ew.
Oh yeah, no, I'm in therapy. I don't know if he did, because I don't know anymore. I don't know him anymore.
That's probably not a bad thing for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing.
That's
Well,
probably
thank you for
okay.
sharing, Meow Meow. I hope it wasn't too intimidating, but I appreciate you being open with us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad I got to be able to share that.
We'll make sure we're very clear when we're about to do the disclaimer song for folks that may be triggered by this.
I'm sure it's just me. It's okay.
Apparently so.
Well,
I will remind myself of that the next time. It's probably not, but I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Can you put me on the big screen, please,
Sure,
Steve?
sure thing. Meow Meow, thanks for coming in tonight. We appreciate you. right.
So
Good.
the banana hammock merch is now available in the merch store. I managed to find a hammock that looked like a banana, so that was helpful.
I don't know if it's safe to ever say anything anymore because it might end up on a merch.
Well, the best one, it's the newest T-shirt line is I am fucking Zen. That's the new one. Yeah.
I don't think I don't need to shop anywhere else but our store for my wardrobe.
Erica, let's role play. So ask me if I'm Zen.
Well, you should zen out a bit.
I am fucking Zen.
There we go.
And scene.
And scene.
I love it when we role play, Steve.
I know you do. I know you do.
Like some twisted version I don't know, BDSM or something. I don't know what we're doing.
There's an ocean in the way. Hi, cute aggression. How are you tonight?
Can be if you
I'm
want.
good. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. You want to contribute to our madness, our chaos, and mayhem?
Oh my goodness. So I ran across the live and I saw the banner and I'm like, I have to tell them.
Okay, that's why we're here.
I mean, 'tis the season, right? It's coming up on Spooky Night, so why not?
So one of my very best friends from like junior high calls me. This was a while ago. I was single then. And she's like, I want to set you up on a date. And I'm like, with who? She's like, with my brother-in-law. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And she's like, no, you don't understand. He's great. He's really handsome. And he's going to be a doctor. And I'm like, okay, so. And she's like, no, but he's single and he really, he wants to get out there and start dating. So I'm like, okay, fine. I caved. I shouldn't have caved, but I caved. And so he calls me, we set up the day, we go out to my favorite restaurant, and we sit down and he starts talking, and the only thing he could talk about was his ex-girlfriend. So I'm like, oh my God. I said, okay, redirect. Every time I would redirect, he would find a way back to her. This goes on for about 45 minutes. Like we're getting our food and I'm tossing them back because I couldn't take it anymore. So then I asked him, I'm like, hey, I think you need help. Like you're not over her. Because then he starts talking about how he would follow her home and show up at her. I'm like, you're stalking her, dude. And he's like, no, I'm not. And I'm like, yeah, you're stalking her. I don't think you're over her. Like, you need some help. And he's like, oh, I'm getting help. Like, you are? He's like, yeah, I go see a therapist about her like every week. And they got me on all kinds of medications and it's not working. I'm like, I don't think there's a pill for stalking. And I'm getting really nervous and I'm like, oh my God. The other thing is and it's my thing, and I know it's my thing. I will not date a man that cannot cut his food. If you can't hold your utensils right, it's a no. His steak comes out and
wait, what?
It was, it's like a 5-year-old. He couldn't cut it. So he just picked it up and bit off a piece. And I'm like, are you serious? And so
like, no, I've got to pause. This is a standard for you in dating that you've said. Here's the thing. They have to be able to cut their own food. That's a box you need to check off. You screen for that. That's a screening question for you. I'm flummoxed.
Can you add like utensil capable in your dating profile?
Is that a filter for Match.com? I'm unaware.
Must be able to hold a steak knife.
Cut own food?
So I'm sitting there horrified watching him like rip at this steak. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, well, and I don't know what to say because he keeps talking about his ex-girlfriend. So finally I just said, look, I don't want to talk about her anymore. And he's like, okay, great. And then like his watch rang. And he's like, oh, I have to take my medicine. So he starts like popping like 50 pills right in front of me at the table. And I'm just sitting there going, oh my God. So I used to always leave an out for myself. Like I would text a friend and have them call me and make believe it was an emergency so I could get the hell out of there.
Sure.
So at this point, I'm texting like 911, hurry up, call me. Nothing's happening. And he starts talking about, he's like, yeah, okay, I'm taking this medicine because I have kidney stones. And I'm like, oh. He's like, yeah. And then he proceeds to tell me how he just passed the largest stone that he had ever had.
Oh my God.
And I mean, in graphic detail
Oh
as
my
he's
God.
ripping at this like raw steak. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, oh, okay, so, how's work? What do you do?
It's really obvious why the bar for just cutting your own food is even set like that.
And I'm
wow.
sitting there. I'm just absolutely mortified. I could not wait to get out of there. And after that story about his stone that he passed, he's like, yeah, my dogs were, licking me because I was on the floor and there was blood everywhere. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you have dogs? He's like, yeah, I have 5. I'm like, you have 5 dogs? Yeah, I have 5 little like Shih Tzus or something. The little small fluffy dogs. I'm like, well, who takes care of them? Like, you work and you go to school. You must be gone hours. So he's like, yeah. Do you crate them while you're gone? Do they have a doggy daycare? Does somebody come walk them? And he's like, no. I'm like, well, Jesus, I hope you don't have carpets. He was like, oh yeah, I have carpets, like wall-to-wall carpeting. I'm like, your house must smell great. So at this point, my phone rings. And I'm like, oh, I have to get this. So I go to get up and pick up my phone. And he looks at me and he goes, don't do that. I'm like, do what? He's like, you just got up out of the table to go take a phone call. I'm like, yeah, I guess it's an emergency. They keep calling me back. He goes, my mother would have slapped the shit out of you if you did that at our dinner table. And I just looked at him and I was like, well, good thing your mother's not here. I'll be right back. I'm going to go take this phone call. And I dipped through the kitchen, out the back door, down the block, and I left him there.
I think I might have dipped at not being able to use utensils. But, I mean, I appreciate you sticking it out.
And the only reason why it lasted so long was because this is my best friend's brother-in-law.
Wow.
So I didn't want it to be bad. And I couldn't tell you, I was running for my car. I get home and she calls me and she's like, what the F? And I'm like, that dude is a psychopath. Don't ever set me up again. That's it.
Thank you for sharing that story with us. I really appreciate it.
Upstate Reeve says you might have dated her husband, her ex-husband.
Gregory's got the pun game on. Yeah, she said fork it and left. I'm out of here. Thank you, Aggression. Appreciate you very much for jumping in tonight. Thank you. See you later.
Bye.
I have to say, like, as a British person who uses a knife and fork in the manner they were designed for,
yes,
watching a lot of American people using cutlery makes me heave anyway. But that I wouldn't have been able to. I wouldn't.
It's like the people who use it backwards,
The fork is in the left hand.
Left hand, and the knife
Correct,
is in the right. Yeah.
Exactly.
To load the back of the fork.
And
us Gen Xers, Olive, we're taught manners properly.
I have manners. I know how to sit
at
at the table. I know how to set the table properly too. Actually, I went through.
I couldn't leave the table until everything was gone off of the plate.
I was the one who took off everything off the table. I also went through an etiquette class in high school, so I have manners.
To Erica's point, I did not know how that was the way until I actually lived in the UK because they use.
And the people that cut up all their food and then eat it, like cut it into tiny little bits and then
or
the forking etiquette.
Or I'm sorry, or the people that have to keep everything separated on the plate.
Oh no, don't do
My
that.
mother is like
Don't.
that. For Christmas a couple years ago, we got her, you know, like in school where they had the separation of like different categories where they made sure, like, you know, you got your meat, you got your dairy, you got your veg.
Yeah,
We
the
got
little
her
trays. Those are
yeah,
cool.
we
That's
we
fine,
got
but,
her
yeah.
one of those trays because she has really bad issues with food touching.
I went out on a date. You just reminded me. I went out on a date with a guy who I actually like had what I would call a mini relationship with. And this didn't put me off. A mini relationship. This didn't put me off, but he ate all of the elements of food on his plate individually, building up to the. So you just went like this, Steve. Like he did what? So like he ate the peas, then he ate the carrots, then he ate the potatoes. Like he was eating them in reverse order of preference. So the thing he liked least, he would eat first. So he was leaving his steak till last because it was the highlight of the meal.
Thank you, Manny.
I had a mini relationship with that human.
That sounds
That's
like
great.
He was a very good
Sounds
planner.
like yeah.
So what we've uncovered from Erica so far is that she falls asleep on narcoleptics. And she dates men who have some serious issues with the order in which they eat their food.
I mean, in all seriousness, you know, it's a spectrum. They would look at that as one of the criteria of can be.
I'm not mocking. I'm just commenting.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Amy Dawn, I'm 100% sure.
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure, and that's not an issue. And he was a nice guy, which is why I overlooked that. And we, you know, we had a mini relationship.
I think things are superpowers anyway. So, like for me, that's always a positive.
Yeah.
So, I want to hear your story, but since I'm old enough to be your older brother, I'm nervous about this story.
So I asked Nikki, I texted Nikki, and I was like, I want to make sure that you were doing, when I was getting ready and stuff like that, I was like, okay, he's doing stories. And I asked Nikki, pick 2 stories, right? And I gave her the titles of them. One I'm going to share with her personally afterwards, and I'll probably post in the mod chat in your Discord just for everyone to have a giggle. But that title was Homewrecker. But the title of this one is called The Curtain Guy.
Okay.
So we're going with The Curtain Guy. So I got out of a really toxic marriage and stuff like that. And so I was going out and, you know, going on dates. And I went on a date with this guy, and I was on specific preferences on like ages and stuff because I'm very mature for my age and I can't deal with like little play games from individuals and stuff like that. This guy was 19. And I was like, you know what? We'll give it a shot. First date went fine. You know, we had a great date. It was a great time. We went for sushi. We walked around. We had great conversations and stuff like that. Second date happened, and I learned that he was very stiff. He didn't like go with the flow or anything like that. He was very like, I have to be so specific on what's going on. Date number 3 happens. We went to go and we grabbed pizza, and I went over to his apartment, and his apartment was barren. You could tell that he was living with like another dude, and they were both bachelors. You open up the fridge and all you see is condiments and empty dreams. And halfway through,
with the beer.
right? Halfway
That was
through,
my folk cover band in high school. Condiments and empty dreams.
Condiments and empty dreams. And about halfway through the night, he was like, "Hey, I hate to be really awkward about this." But he was short. I'm 5'9", and that's pretty tall for a woman. Yeah. He was probably 5'6" on a good day. Which, no hate, short kings are out there. I get it. You know, you do you. He looked at me and he goes, "Can you help me hang curtains?" My date became an HGTV show. The entire time he was very adamant about which way the curtains were being hung. He was very adamant about different ways the curtains should have been on certain windows. He was very adamant about the height and stuff. And to a point where he's like, you know, this could work out. You could help me hang curtains and I'll just be short. And I'm like, that's not how this works. And he was so adamant on getting something that I was not ready to give. And needless to say, because I wasn't going to give him what he wanted, which is, you know, what happens on some dates, he decided
curtain hanging blinds.
Yeah. Blinds. He didn't like the blinds.
I was going to say, was it a blind date?
It was not a blind date, unfortunately. I wish it was. probably would have been more funny and make sense about hanging fucking curtains. Needless to say, he didn't get what he wanted because he was so adamant about it, and I was very stern with the fact that I did not want to give him, because no means no, because consent is important.
So you threw him some shade, is what you're saying.
I did throw him some shade.
Olive, don't make me get the tea video out.
Oh, look,
Don't
we
make
should
me
probably
do it.
send him the tea video.
We probably should.
But the way it ended is because I wasn't going to give him what he wanted, he kicked me out of the room because there was like 2 separate rooms and then there was a living room. He kicked me out of his room. And what I did is I had gum and I had the receipt. I wrote went home, don't text me, chewed up the gum, stick it on the receipt, stick it on his door, and I got an Uber ride home. That is how the curtain guy date ended.
Wow.
So he was pretty not that hung, if you will. So
I have to say, Olive,
Okay.
you've opened up a whole new world of how I can get DIY done around my house now.
I was just thinking.
So I'd like to thank you for that.
My needs.
see,
Must be able to reach 7 feet 4.
right?
I'm 5'1". There's no way I'm hanging my own curtains.
It was so funny to me because he was just like so adamant, and he was sweet. He was just so stern, so stiff, and he was so used to like a routine. Like, I can't just go willy nilly and go out bowling. Like, dude, no, like, just relax a little bit, get in the groove. Like, there was nothing serious about it. And then he's like, can you hang my curtains for me? And I remember I came home that night from the date and my mom looked at me. She's like, so date went well. I said, Mom, I hung curtains. And she's like, she thought that it was some innuendo.
I was
so
just
two
about
things.
to say it very well could be.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, 19. The fact that when I was 19, we would use a towel over the curtain rod and call it a curtain, or we would cover it with a blanket and call it furniture. So I appreciate the fact that he's.
He was he wanted curtains.
His decor. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Wow.
adamant. He was very adamant about the fact. I was just like, I can't. And the best part too is because of where I work.
Right, Jimmer, or a flag, exactly. Yep.
I see a lot of military members, and he went to pick up one of his coworkers' kid, and recently he saw me and he's like, oh, look, it's the girl who helped me hang my curtains. And my coworkers looked at me and they went, you did what?
What? Another euphemism.
Right? And I had a whole conversation with him like, it's not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is. But
Condiments and empty dreams, my friend.
But I will share the homewrecker story in the mod Discord chat. It's not like that's a funny one, but it's not a TikTok funny one.
Gotcha. Okay. That's a mod
Winky.
chat. That's an afternoon with
That is
Marvin Gaye and a bottle of Courvoisier.
yeah, and the conversation of my mom saying you don't need to be a stepmom at 18. So.
Oh, hey now, no, we don't.
No. But
we don't want that.
And in honor of Facts After Dark, I do have my Zaddy Steve background going on here. So
Thank you, Olive. I appreciate that. Are you going live this evening?
I am. So I changed it. I'm going to go at 8:30 instead of 9 o'clock because I'm trying to figure out my new algorithm. I don't know what's going on. TikTok sucks. TikTok, fix your algorithm. And be kind to left-wing creators, especially
Yes.
women creators, please. Thank you. Have a great day.
Definitely.
Like, legitimately. CC posted a very interesting video. I do edit it.
Yep.
And it's been very infuriating and frustrating. And that is why I am so grateful for you and your team and everyone in between that support me here and there. So I'm just trucking along. I'm doing my little Olive thing, just doing me,
Yes, you
my
are.
little Gen Z influencer thing, which I was talking to Nikki about it. Erica, and if you're cool with it, Steve, you should just get a shirt with a picture of an olive on it that says influencer and on the back say established by Fact Still Matters. So
I think that would work.
yeah.
I'm fine with that.
I also bought
Get on that,
a
Erica.
Fuck's sake, I tell you what,
I can send you the idea. I have it all put together if you want.
unpaid fucking labour. That's what this is.
She's my merch bitch.
Merch bitch.
Merch, bitch.
Hey,
Merch bitch.
Merch bitch. New shirt.
Good. Well, I think it should just be Marich or hang
Marich?
on, Birch. I don't know, something.
Mitch.
We'll figure out.
Birch is a type
portmanteau
of
word.
tree.
Mitch.
Mitch.
See,
You really
Jess
should get
gets
a
me. Unpaid fucking labour. That's what this
Unpaid
is.
fucking. You should unionize.
I'll tell you what.
together.
If you hadn't offered to pay me in sexual favours, Steve, I would not be doing this.
You don't want to talk about an ocean between you. You weren't
Hey, yo, massive motion in the ocean.
He said he's got very long fingers, so it's.
You know, they make devices that work over the ocean too. So
Do they?
they do actually.
Oh, maybe I
A
should,
little birdie told me.
There's little remotes you
Oh.
can get. You can send the toy to your mate, and then you're in control elsewhere.
Hey now.
Interesting.
Well,
Who knew?
Don't let
It's
don't
called the
let
internet.
distance be a deterrent. Mm-mm. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
It is. It is facts.
It is Facts After Dark. Actually, we were talking about you because throughout the rest of the weekdays,
Me?
I'll have you specifically. Well, I'll play you in the background while I'm at work, and everyone's like, "I really like this dude" and stuff like that. And I got a couple people buying some water bottles. So
Well, thank you very much.
I tried.
Who
appreciate
doesn't
that.
want back?
I got a hoodie, I got a beanie, and I also bought a Uncle Rusty pillowcase.
Oh God. Ugh. Ugh.
I told Rusty, and Rusty's like,
Amy
"Did you?"
Don, you weren't on mute.
there's someone in the comments called Dr. Dutch that said, but Erica doesn't even go
She
here.
doesn't even go here.
You don't even go here.
She doesn't even go here. We all know that Erica's from Arkansas. It's okay.
Yep. No, Missouri.
Mississippi.
Oh, Missouri. I
That's right.
always forget what state it is. It's some southern state.
Jackson. And I can tell you a lot about Jackson. It has roads and buildings and humans.
Lions and
road.
tigers and bears.
Oh my.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, goodness
Logan.
gracious. The mod chat is flying right now. So
I know, I-
Paula, thank you, and we will
Absolutely.
We will raise you. We'll raise
I
you when we're
appreciate you guys, and as always, I love you guys so very much. So
love you
I
too,
will
Ellen.
see you guys around.
See
Bye,
you
guys.
done. Bye. Oh my goodness gracious.
He has a lot of parents. We're like, our girls' chat is great. I wish you had a U.S. phone number, Erica.
Just all get bloody WhatsApp, and then you don't need to have a US phone number. Just saying.
That's true too.
That's true.
Universal, how are you tonight? Are you gonna join in on our fun?
Oh God, the debauchery.
I know, right? It's great.
Plenty of that.
Yeah. After some of those stories, I'm like, I feel like I've gotten off easy, like most of my life, you know.
Hey now.
Hey, hold on a minute. Yeah, the only one that comes to mind is when I was in college. All right, I'm gonna drop now. No, I'm
Sorry.
kidding.
I'll stop.
No. You're fine. I'm just messing. I'm messing around. So I'm in college, and I've started dating this girl, and we were seeing each other for a couple months, and then there was like a 4th of July or Memorial Day, one of those like barbecue weekends, right? And she was like, "Well, you should come over after you get off, and we're having like a little barbecue at my house." And I was like, "Oh yeah, cool, great." So I get off, not like that, get off of work, and I head over, and I'm meeting everybody. I'm saying hi, hey, how you doing? And I meet her sister, and she goes, "Oh hey," and I was like, "Hey," like she was really friendly. She was like, "Oh hey," and I was like, "Hey." She goes, "You don't remember me?" And I was like, I don't think so. Have we met?" And she's like, "Oh, okay. Well, never mind." And I was like, "All right." And she like saunters off. And I was really confused for a minute. And so I'm there for a minute. We're kind of just hanging out, talking and trying to make nice with some people that I hadn't met, from her family and things like that. And at one point, her sister kind of pulls me aside, and we're chatting, and she goes, "So we met at such and such place some time ago," and like everything clicked into place instantly. Ooh. And we had met at like a bar or something and hooked up like 6 months ago, like 6 months prior. Before I'd met her, started dating her, nothing like that, right? But we'd met, hooked up, done some things, right? And then it was just a casual thing. Like we didn't keep in touch or anything like that. But suddenly I just felt like Caitlin Stark in that Red Wedding scene where like she realizes everything around, like she's in a trap. Like it was the most mortifying experience where I was like, oh no, what have I done? And how have I gotten to this point where I didn't know who these people were? The last name didn't tip me off. What was I thinking? And because I was a child, right? I was like 20 or 21 at the time. Like a week later, I ended up telling this girl, I was like, yeah, we can't. Sorry. But it was the most like horrifying experience I've ever had in that instant where I was like, how have I done this?
You wouldn't have known.
Look, the Game
No,
of
I wouldn't have
Thrones
known.
reference.
I just can't believe I didn't recognize her when I saw her. You know, like there was no connection until she said exactly where we'd met, and I was like, "Oh, that's what it is."
I feel like I lived through that vicariously with you with that Game of Thrones reference, because that was a visceral reference for me, because the Red Wedding has me traumatized.
Yes.
So like, oh.
Yeah, because in that instant, like I was like, everyone around me knows. Oh God, which like, of course, they probably didn't, but like, you know,
right. Well, Echo, thanks for sharing your story. I appreciate it.
not the worst one we've heard tonight, but certainly one that like left an impact on me in my early college years.
Good or bad, I just think they're all great. I have a couple more that just popped in my head actually as you were talking about that. But
I
there you go.
like
thanks,
unpacking.
Echo. Appreciate you very much.
Yeah, we'll chat.
See you later.
See ya.
All right, bye.
If you guys started talking, you'd think of more.
Can I say that's how almost every couple I know got together? Is they randomly hooked up somewhere, and then a couple of months later they saw each other again and randomly hooked up, and then this pattern continued over a period of months until they went, shall we just go on a date? Yeah, okay. That's how British people pre-internet got together.
I was just gonna say, yeah, until we got together online, and now,
Yeah.
Americans,
the old days.
we all use Christian Mingle around here, but I'm just
Okay, yeah, sure you do. Yeah. Or J-date.
that too. They don't cross pollinate.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
We know you've got Grindr and Tinder and all the ers. You know you do.
That's a funny story. I'll tell you that next. Beenan, how are you?
Hi, this is like so fantastic that we're talking about this. I watch you all every day.
Thank
so
you.
just like, it's so good to laugh. Like, I don't think I've laughed this hard just listening to people's stories and how horrible dating is. Anyways, I'll just tell you I could probably talk for hours about how many horrible dates I've been on, but I'll just share this one.
Okay.
So I met this guy on New Year's Eve, and it was my best friend's brother-in-law. So here we go with the brother-in-law. And I really liked him, and we totally connected. And so we just started dating. And about a month after we were dating, he called me and he said, hey, I have 2 tickets to fly to Miami. Will you go with me? And I was like, dude, a free trip to Miami? Absolutely. Cocoa Beach. So we went to Cocoa Beach, and, we were just walking around, seeing the sights. Well, when we went to get the rental car, first of all, he had to have a convertible. There was no accepting anything but a convertible, and they didn't have a convertible at the rental counter. And so he like threw a big fit, which was totally embarrassing. Anyways, they found a convertible. We had to wait an hour for the convertible, but they found one. And so we get in the car, and I'm totally dating myself. I'm a Gen Xer. And so he loved Anne Sullivan. Like,
Okay.
I can't even remember any songs that Anne Sullivan used to sing. Anyways, so we get in the car, and it's kind of a chilly day. It's probably like 55, 60 degrees. And he wants to have the top down as we're driving from the airport, to where we're staying. Anyways, he's blasting Anne Sullivan at like the music was so loud. So then we get to the hotel, and we go and have a couple of drinks. And the first, like, I'm not a heavy drinker. I used to be when I was much younger. But so we get to the bar, and he's like ordering Patron, wants to have 2 Patron shots, tequila, to start the night. And I was like, well, damn, like that's kind of a little bit forward. Anyway, so I'm like, well, I'm not really into tequila. And he's like, well, I already paid $14 each for these. So like, and is, you know, trying to force me to take this tequila shot. So I just took it, which was stupid. But then I don't know if you guys ever watched the movie Face Off with Nicolas Cage and John Travolta.
Sure.
And there was, you know, the part in the movie where they were expressing their love for each other and they took their hand and put it down the other person's face.
Yes.
So we're sitting at the bars, all these people dancing, and he like reaches out and he's like, let me just say, you know, how beautiful you are. And he ran his grimy fingers like from the top of my forehead all the way down my face. Like it was the most creepy.
Oh my gosh.
Creepy, disgusting thing. Anyways, and I was like, hey, like, that's not cool. Like, you know, like you don't do that. And he's like, he was so upset with me because I didn't want him to like put his grimy hands on my face. Anyways, it was such a horrible trip. Like every moment of the trip, I mean, it was supposed to be like 4 days long. And I actually left after 2 days. I, you know, called to get an earlier flight. And he was so mad about having to take me to the airport. And it was like, it was colder that day and he had to have the top down. But then it was like, how, like, I don't know, like somebody that I mean, I hadn't been dating him that long, but somebody that you don't know that well, it's like touching your face. And he was mad because I wasn't a good dancer. And anyways, and it just went on and on and on. So I came home and like I told my best friend, I'm like, what the F is up with this dude? Like he's so like, he's crazy. And actually that's the funny part of the story. But the sad part was that he actually had some severe mental health illness. And I didn't know that going into it. So anyways, I've had so many instances of just crazy dating. And I think this is like, oh my God, like I said, it's just I needed some laughter this week. And can we like maybe switch like this to like from you 8 to 12, do like the worst dating stories? Cause I'm sure we could probably fill up the time. Just
After
kidding.
the election, we're going to do lots of things, but we have some work to do between now and then, but sure.
Yeah.
I think these are great. I appreciate you sharing your story. And what I was thinking is like, why is it always Florida man? Seems like it's always Florida man kind of weaves into these stories. You know?
Yeah. And I forgot to mention that, he didn't tell me, but his parents had flew down as well.
Oh boy.
And so he wanted to introduce me to his parents.
No, fuck off.
Yeah. So,
stuff I could. I have a Netflix movie of the week scene in my head about that. That's just you.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Well, thank you for coming up. I appreciate you very much.
Yep.
You
Take care. Good to see you guys. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Can I just say? Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Hang on.
Bless you.
No, I'm not. Okay. I feel very. I have this, or in my teens and 20s, I had this friend called Carl, and he was one of those guys where a woman talked to him who worked in a store, and he would be like, "She's into me," and I'd be like, "No, she's just doing her job," and he'd be like, "No, she's into me," and once he went to we call it an optician, you call it an optometrist. And he was like, the woman in the optometrist is into me. Shall I buy flights to Paris and go back and say, would you like to come on a date with me? I bought flights to Paris. And I was like, do not do that. Do not. Because my worst fear, not my worst fear. I've got plenty of fears worse than this. But can you imagine going on a date with someone who you've never really had a conversation with before and having to sit? I mean, Paris isn't so bad. It's only an hour flight, right? But can you imagine like having to sit on a flight? I went to the zoo on a date once and I decided I didn't like the guy in the car on the way to the zoo. And then you have to spend the whole day at the zoo. And you know the thing that really gave me the ick? It started raining.
Oh, no.
I forgot all these. It started raining at the zoo. and his nose started running, and he clearly didn't realize that it wasn't rain that was running down. Yeah, like, but his nose was running and water was running down his face. And I just,
Over once you get the ick, though, right? Like
once you get the ick, that's it.
there's no turning back.
Done.
Once you get a glimpse of the ick, and the ick takes a split second, and then you're just like, nope.
Yeah.
Positive. Good evening. How are you tonight? You're muted, friend. There you go.
I'm doing well, thanks. I just I've been really enjoying these stories. It's so funny, and I just have this crazy story that it's more of a breakup story than a dating story. But I was dating a guy that I'd met at work, and we'd gone out for a couple months, and he liked me way more than I liked him, and I knew it was kind of over for me. I kind of got, like you said, Erica, the ick, and I had left. I was resigning from my company, and I had 6 weeks off between jobs, and I was going to Australia and Fiji for those 6 weeks, and I told him about it, and I thought, oh, this is perfect. I'll just break up with them before I go, and get a chance to have a clean slate, and so I broke up with him. And then I go on this trip, and I had booked my tickets ahead of time, so I knew, what city I was flying into. And I didn't really have a lot planned while I was there, but I knew a week in Melbourne, a week in Sydney, a week in Brisbane, and then a week in Fiji. And I kind of had it all laid out. Well, so I take my flight over. I was going by myself, and I land in Melbourne. And when I'm getting off the plane, there's somebody standing there with an envelope and with my name on it. And I'm like, why is somebody here with my name it was kind of weird. And he hands it to me. And, I'm kind of like, I'm Natalie. And he hands me this envelope. So anyways, I open it. And this guy that I was dating had put together, his name was Kent. And he put a KQ Quarterly. And it was a whole magazine with pictures of him in his underwear.
Oh my
modeling
God.
like a model, and part of it was really sweet. He had like things to do in Melbourne, and it was like a guide to the city.
That's so much. Part of it was really sweet. Wait, what?
Well, just the thoughtfulness of like But anyways, it was like, it was like, oh my God. So every city I landed in, there was somebody meeting me at the airport with one of these magazines.
What?
And
wow.
Yeah.
You have to appreciate the planning, I guess, though.
I kind of love that.
I kind of love it now that, that's...
Here's St Kilda Beach, and here's me in my underwear.
Yeah, oh my God. It was just like, it was crazy, though. And so
kind of...
part of it was sweet. Like, if I liked him, it would have been really sweet. But
I think
I had broken up with him, and then he did this. And so it was just like, so it was creepy, right? So
it was the post-breakup thing for me.
Yeah. And so then I went on a week-long liveaboard dive trip, and I met these other girls. And so I shared all of this with them, right? And they're cracking up, and we're all laughing about it. We were having a good time about it. And so I'm getting to the point where I'm going to go to Fiji. And so I talked these... Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
That was awesome. Thank you, Cookie.
Wow.
That didn't interrupt anything at all. It's very discreet.
Really? So I talked these girls into going to Fiji with me. And so we, I changed my reservations, and we go into get a place where we all can stay together. And so anyways, we're on the flight and that I booked, and we land there. And, we're all having a great time on the plane. And I look out the window, and this is, pre 9/11. So he's standing, this guy that I had broken up with is actually standing on the tarmac waiting for me as I get off the plane.
Nope.
And we're all just like,
in his
they're
underwear?
all like, oh my God.
I know, he was dressed.
But he starts singing and serenading me in front of all these people. And these girls are just like...
In his underwear?
Oh, my God.
Did he have a boombox? Was he holding a boombox?
He was holding a
In
boombox.
your
Yes, he
eyes.
was. Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh.
Positive, please
And
tell me that in the Sydney version of his what was it, KQ thing,
Quarterly.
please tell me it had a picture of the Sydney Harbour Bridge and said, if you think this is an erection, I have something to show you.
But try the veal.
I thought of
Oh
that
my
about
gosh.
5 minutes ago. It's just been simmering and I had to
Appreciate
say
that.
it. I'm sorry.
Nice.
Positive.
Oh,
This guy says, there it is.
Oh my gosh.
Peak ick. That was some peak ick.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was peak. And so, luckily I'd met these girls and they surrounded me and they're like, no way, dude. And so he was like this little sick puppy dog, followed us around the entire time for, this whole week we were in Fiji, and was like, kept trying to buy me things. And then he upgraded my ticket, my return flight, to a first class ticket, and had seats sitting right next to us. And I'm next to each other. And I'm just like, oh my God. And so I get on the plane, and I'm just like trying to avoid him at all costs. And he's trying to, carry my bag, and he's trying to touch me. He's just like, ugh. And anyways, one of the guys that was also in first class, I'm like, hey, can I switch with you? And he's like, oh, sure. And so anyways, I felt bad, but it was just like, dude, like,
there's a lot going on there.
I broke up with you. Like,
I mean,
a lot
I
going
would
on there.
be fuming, but then
night.
Fiji. So I guess I would have been like, I guess as long as you're not going to give me super, super beyond peak ick, maybe I could deal with it.
Hang on. When you say you're not going to give me super beyond peak ick, the man was standing on the tarmac, serenade. No, I'm sorry, Amy Dawn. I've got the ick with this guy, and we haven't even been on a date.
I know. It's the Fiji for me, though. That's like...
Yeah, no, it was pretty icky. So then when I got home, he actually stalked me for like another 6 months after that. And I had to finally get like in his... Like, I lived like 30 minutes away from him, and like I would be at the grocery store that was close to my house, and he'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're at the same grocery store. And he didn't live he lived 30 minutes away from that grocery store. I'm like, dude, this isn't your grocery store. Like, stop following me.
I feel like so many of these stories are like the prequel to many Dateline episodes. Like, I feel like these stories are like prequel.
Yeah.
So many of these stories are like
studying martial arts.
I don't blame you.
No.
Sorry.
So many of these stories are like, this man is actually a stalker. And I know we can laugh about it now, but it is in fact a criminal offense.
Yeah, the bear wins again.
Yeah.
Basically what you're saying. Yeah, the fact that the human race hasn't died out is amazing.
Yeah.
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 Positive. Thank you for being here, friend.
Well,
Appreciate your story.
Thanks for having me up. I had to tell that story.
You got it.
All right.
Thanks
Talk
a lot.
to you later.
See you later.
I'm glad you're around.
Bye.
This isn't a dating story, but I just think it's it just reminded me of something funny when you talked about so I've heard there's these things called gentlemen's clubs, and oftentimes
you've heard.
And oftentimes the men that go there tend to think that the women who work there, whatever it is that they do there, are falling in love with them. That's what they think, right? So they have this theory. Anyway, one of the 9 million jobs that I had to pay my way through school was I drove a limo. Made good money on it, but it was always weird. So this was in Burlington, Vermont, and oftentimes people would charter the limousine to go to Montreal, which is about 2.5 hours away. And what we would do is we'd have an address, and we'd pick them up. They'd have the car until the night, and oftentimes they wanted to go to Montreal, mostly men, although the women that went to the women's clubs were much worse, much more misbehaving than the gentlemen were. That's a different story. Anyway, I pick up these guys at a relatively rural area in northern Vermont, and they were dressed as well as they could be dressed. We'll put it that way. No, not judging. So we drive up to Montreal. I give them the lay of the land. I said, this is the situation. So there's a particular street in Montreal. It's called St. Catherine Street, where there's a lot of activity. A few gentlemen's clubs here and there. I said, so here's the situation. I will drop you off in front of this place. I know a spot to park the car, so I'll go pull over and I'll sit in the car for a little while, and I'll come back around in an hour. If you want to go someplace else, just let me know. So this was about 9 p.m., 9:30. So I do just that. I couldn't find a spot to park. So it took me about 25 minutes to drive through the city and around the block again to get back to where they were. And as I'm driving by, they're out front. I'm like, okay, that's weird. So I roll down the window. I said, you guys good? You want to go someplace else? They're like, yeah, we want to go to McDonald's. I'm like, you want to go to McDonald's? They're like, yeah. And they're like, back home, in St. Albans, this town that I picked them up in. I'm like, you want to go back to McDonald's in St. Albans? And they're like, yes. I said, you realize if I drive all the way back there, I'm not coming back. There won't be enough time. They're like, that's okay. We'll pay you for the night. They tipped me. So my theory was, first of all, they sat in the car in the back seat like deathly quiet the entire ride home. I think they were so blown away by what they saw, they did not know how to process it. And it was like, holy shit. So there you go. Wow. Yeah. And they were probably, so I was, how old was I then? I was 20, 21, somewhere around there. Same age as I was in that picture. And they were probably maybe 5 or 10 years older. So in their mid to late 20s. And I don't know if they'd ever experienced anything like that before, which was pretty wild. I hear these places are quite intimidating.
I dated a guy once who arranged a date with me and another girl in a place that was like a public hot tub place that you could rent out for the night. So I'm not going to judge.
Yeah, we had one of those too, and it was always like that. Was nobody would want to put your feet in the water. Then I'm thinking, oh, what if everybody just puts their feet in the water?
It was called the Tubbery, and everybody knew that people went to have schmecks there. And
a public hot tub place does not sound okay.
You could rent a room. Like there's like 5 or 6 rooms. Don't judge. There's like 5 or 6 rooms.
Yeah, but how long for? Like how long were you renting by the hour?
As long as it took, Erica.
So they weren't even emptying the water and.
It was please. We just I mean, you just
Water's
were like,
hot. You boil away the germs.
Smells like chlorine here. We're good. I literally went halfway across the country based on an internet plane ticket. So I mean,
but I do that rather than getting a hot tub that rents by the hour.
Oh, right. This is what hose water and neglect does to you, though.
Yeah, it clouds your judgment for sure.
It took us a while.
Obi.
The freaking bar is on the floor, isn't it? Like. What are we doing?
Greetings and salutations, and may I say, being a top in this situation is grand.
I feel like Erica
is truly grand.
Middle position.
I'm the meat in this sandwich.
Yeah.
I mean, life is a roller coaster. Enjoy the ride, ladies.
I'm tired of being the tiny spoon.
Facts. Can you just stand up so that I can see the full glory of the
merch? Hey now.
Oh, that's nice. Nice colors.
We picked. I believe we picked the correct font for the Hey Now. We were going for Baywatch.
It is
Baywatch style.
Yes, it is
giving the 90s.
That's right.
Now that it's not triple digits here in Arizona, I might have use for a hoodie. I think I'll probably get one.
By the way, 6'2", 220. So I always say that because Donald Trump claims to be 6'3", 215.
Oh. Yeah, sure he is. Right.
Wait a minute. Louis Scott, a hot tub is basically a glory bowl.
Can I say, if you haven't been paying attention to Louis's comments... at one point, when Amy Dawn said, "Oh, but that's kind of sweet," Louis in the comments went, "He paid for her to upgrade to first class, Erica," with a shrugging emoji. I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot." That makes everything okay then.
So Obi, I would imagine there may be a interesting story or two in your past, perhaps.
Yes, I would like to preface the entire discussion moving forward to announce that on January 19th of 2004, I had my first last date with our wife.
Yay, our wife. Yes. Congratulations.
Now, I will say that while I may not have had horror stories in the traditional sense, I have had some interesting happenings whilst being a sailor and post sailorhood. And I may or may not have at some point in time entered a gentleman's establishment in various countries around the world, just to be perfectly clear
We
and
cannot
honest about
confirm
that.
or deny, as I understand.
Yeah, for
Nope.
geography lessons, and I get it. That's fine.
Nope.
We're trying to
You know,
upgrade our
I want to be
intellect.
honest here for a second, and I think this is important. And Amy Don, I hope you appreciate this from a clinician standpoint. All of the dates that I had that ended poorly were because of my behavior and my alcoholism. And I have never had a dating situation with a partner or someone that I was dating in which I didn't have a large part of the bad. Right. And I think it's equally important to come up here and let people know that when you get to unpack that and walk through that, you get to see your part, and then you get to move in a more positive direction and be a better human being. So
That's why
for
we love
those
you,
that
my
are
dude.
out there
That's why we love
that
you.
are that are listening, sorry. I never did anything untoward, that much I know. But when you're an alcoholic, you're not necessarily the best person to date. So I think that my dating horror stories are all the times I acted like an arrogant asshole or just completely out of pocket with my attitude, right? And the machismo and the misogyny, the things that you don't know until you know them, right? And so I'm here as a man to apologize, not only for my behavior toward women when I was dating, but also to let women know that, hey, look, most men are assholes at some point in their life. And hopefully the one you're with has grown past that. And that we hear you and we see you, and we also recognize that our past behaviors were the problem. Although privately, I would go home and cry in my whiskey, blaming you for me because I had to be the victim, and I think that's part of the problem. But I will tell you, our wife damn near peed her pants with one of the earlier stories. I've never heard her laugh that hard and loud before. So there is power in these things, and
Yeah.
I think it's amazing, right, that people are brave enough to come up here and share this stuff, right? Like, this is a safe space. This is a space in which you can share. But, whew, wow. So, yeah. I think the only time I had a bad date is, in all honesty, I really liked this woman when I was in the Navy. And I just we had started out as friends, and then we went out on a date, and we're in the middle of dinner, and she looks at me and tells me how much she cares about me. And I'm like, wow, what a fucking great date. And then one sentence came. I think this is the time I should tell you that I'm married.
Yeah. Be good to know.
I politely finished my dinner. I paid the check, and I left the restaurant unaccompanied, but feeling awfully paranoid for a few weeks because I didn't know who this person was. But that's the worst dating thing I've ever had. But
That's not so bad in the grand scheme of things, to be
no,
honest.
it really
but I appreciate,
isn't. But
I appreciate
yeah,
what you
man.
said. I appreciate what you said. That's a very, I really appreciate what you said because, like you and I have had many conversations, many times. We collectively are the reason that women choose the bear, and we need to acknowledge that, and we need to be better, and we need to continue to be better, and then we need to be better again. So
100%. Yeah. Listen, if you can't come up here and admit that you're part of the problem, but then you realized how to be a part of the solution, reach out to us privately, right? Those of us who have walked through things are here to listen and help. And this is the power of social media when used appropriately. So if you have a problem with drugs, if you have a problem with alcohol, I've been clean and sober for 13 and a half years. I have taken plenty of men through 12-step programs. And if you are a man, I can help you. If you are a woman, it is not appropriate for me to help you, but I will find you a woman in your area that can help you. So reach out, right? And realize that there's a solution out there for everyone. And I love you guys.
Love you too,
and Amy Dawn, I'm glad it's not freaking Hades down in Arizona anymore. Because holy crap, you guys couldn't go to 7-Eleven and get a pint of ice cream without it melting before you got to the car. It's just ridiculous.
Yes, it
Yeah.
has.
Anyway, Erica, I love you, even though you turned your camera off and completely ignored me.
Before you go, I just want to tell you how beautiful.
I was moisturizing.
Oh, wait. Whoa.
I'm just doing the tip of my nose again because I don't moisturize on camera typically. So it wasn't a you thing. It was me doing my pre-bed face thing. You know, nobody needs to see that.
I just love what you said, though, Anthony, and I think it's beautiful because you are showing people that healing is possible. And when you do heal, oh my goodness, look at the type of relationship you can have. Because although she is our wife, my friend, you love her immensely, and it shows in everything you say and do. And what an amazing thing it must be to be loved that way. So, you know.
Sorry, I wasn't.
Lucky one.
I wasn't laughing at you guys. I was laughing because Trucker Life with JG in the comments said Erica is always moist. That sounds bad. Not untrue though. Not untrue.
I'm trying to be heartfelt, and we saying the word moist in the chat.
We appreciate you moisturizing just the tip. That's very kind of you to do that. That's very, very kind of you to do that. Much appreciated.
L'Oreal Revitalift.
Obi, we love you, buddy.
I love you. I'm now red and a little sweaty. Okay, love you all. Dropping down.
Tell our wife we said hello. We love her too.
Let our wife know you're ready. Go ahead.
That's right. See you later, buddy.
I knew the word moist would be said at some point tonight. I knew it.
So someone, I won't use their name, but someone in our mod chat went to dinner at this guy's house, and his whole family was there, including his father, John Gotti. I didn't know that until they walked in.
Oh,
yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
There have been some really good comments. Somebody just said, I was dating a DEA agent until I found out he was using his tools to stalk me.
That's a good one.
See, that's what I'm saying. This is like, it's the prequel to Dateline, half these stories, I'm telling you.
It really is.
Do we need, Reeb wants to know if we need moist merch.
Moist merch with a big water drop.
Some people really, and there'll be people right now that are leaving this live because we keep saying the word moist.
Because of that word, it's true.
Yeah.
It's very, very
it's
true.
It's like the word flange. A lot of people don't like the word flange.
I've not heard that one, Bia.
Yeah, I've heard. I won't even say it because there's another triggering word, but we'll talk about that in the chat. I have another story. This is an interesting one. So there was prom night, my junior year of high school, and my date was a friend, but I was very interested. And my dad was kind enough to rent me a Lincoln town car or something like that, which I was excited about. So I went and double date. We double dated. So we went to this fancy restaurant, and I've been working to save money, and that's because I've just worked my whole life. I'm tired of working. Anyway, we go to this restaurant, and I'm talking, and I'm trying to, engage in conversation with my tuxedo on. My mother's like, you probably shouldn't wear your tux to dinner just in case something happens. I'm like, Mom, I paid $45 for it, or whatever the hell it was. I'm damn right I'm wearing it. I'm gonna milk this.
Whopper like a Whopper. Yeah.
Red satin tie, the red cummerbund, the whole 9 yards, the red handkerchief, and I had the rose for my lapel pin, my boutonniere. and I'm having conversation. And as I'm about to engage, I'm about to put my elbow down on the table, and I plopped it right into a tub of sour cream, right on my elbow, and it went splooge, and it hit her right in the face. Like, right there. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. So
Why
I
did you have to use the word splooge?
yeah, so I reached over to wipe it off, and then the part that was attached to my elbow sort of dripped down in her dress, so it hit her dress. So not only did she have it on her cheek, but she had it on her dress as well. Exactly. It was kind of Pretty Woman. It was kind of Pretty Woman-esque, but this was before Pretty Woman. This was like
no, I'm
1980.
thinking about what was the
1984.
I would have licked it off her face. I don't know why you didn't go for that.
Yeah, that would have been nice. And then actually the after prom party was at my house, and she ended up leaving with a friend of hers.
Yes, something about Mary. Thank you, chat. Yeah, that's all I can think of is the splooge.
Something, yeah. Is that hair gel? Like that means. Is that hair gel?
Making me want to like.
I can't stop thinking about you doing that. I'm sure you recovered like a champ, though.
Did the best I could. Did the absolute best I could.
Consummate communicator.
I have to say, when you're that's not the kind of cream you aim. You're trying to get on someone's face on a date, is it? You know,
not when you're a junior in high school.
No. When you can hit someone in the eye from 15 feet away.
Whoosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Or bust the sheetrock.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
Can I just say something? I had to go upstairs and investigate where the frick my dog was, who never leaves me alone.
Ooh.
I changed my bedding yesterday, and put my winter bedding on, and he is like sparked out amongst the winter bedding upstairs.
You put the flannel sheets on.
No, I don't do flannel sheets.
Yeah, no.
We've talked about my haptodysphoria. That's not happening.
I thought it was velvet that you were.
No. Well, flannel to a lesser extent, but it'd be fine if I touched it with my hands. I would feel a little bit ill.
I like flannel, but not flannel sheets. Like, just my satin sheets are bad enough. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. And do not have satin sheets.
If I was anywhere near satin sheets, my hair would be like standing straight up on end.
Hi, Jolie. How are you tonight? Jolie.
Good. How are you, Max?
We're doing good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
This is my first time ever coming up on any live ever.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so I have a couple of stories.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
So okay, good. So my first story is from back in 2000. I'm Gen X as well. So go Gen X. My first story is from back in 2013. I was on doing the dating apps, and I was on Plenty of Fish, which is like the worst app you could ever go to. But I met somebody, connected, was doing the texting, messaging thing for a while, and then we agreed to meet for drinks. And then we talked about doing brunch the next day. And then finally, he canceled drinks, he canceled brunch the next day, and then came back and said, well, I like to go walking on golf courses after dark when the lights are all out. Why don't you meet me at the golf course and come walk with me? I absolutely said no. And I gave up dating on dating apps after that because I just felt like, oh, that would put me in a total risk of something scary to meet with somebody at a golf course after dark and walk the golf course. And I just said, no, thank you.
See, that's something that I would do. I don't know if I would offer that on a first date, but that's something that I would totally do, but just not on a date like that. No.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but I
respect
okay,
that.
yeah, sure. No, not on a date.
Now, not a first date when you
No.
haven't even met them, had any conversation. I'm okay, like, if we've been after night, after gone out a few times, but
Sure.
no.
You trust him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Sure. Of course, but not
Yeah.
then.
I'd like you to meet
Not
me
on
in a
a
dark place where there are no people.
Exactly.
Please come and meet me
Exactly.
at this dark, desolate, isolated place.
And don't tell anyone where we're going.
Yeah.
That seems fair. Sure.
With the added danger that you might accidentally put your foot down a hole meant for a golf ball. Like you're literally risking life and limb in that situation.
Yeah. No. Yeah, that was totally what I thought. So I didn't go on that date. But anyway.
Good move.
Yeah. And I have one more from when I was young and 18.
Those are
I grew up in Las Vegas, and I was working in a jewelry store in a mall. Met a WWF wrestler, came into the jewelry store, and was completely flirting with me, trying to impress me with his money. He put in an order for at that time it was 1986. I just graduated high school. I was getting ready to go into college at UNLV. And he came in and was like, yeah, I want to buy $4,000 worth of jewelry. And he came back, he left, and then came back to pick up his order later. He asked to take me out on a date. He was staying at one of the major hotels there in Vegas. I went out with him. We got to the hotel. People were spitting on him like he was one of the terrible wrestlers from WWF wrestling. People were just against him. And it was just completely, I didn't know that wrestling industry, I didn't know that lifestyle. Anyway, I kind of went out with him. He showed me the lifestyle, showed me, rented a limo to go meet my parents, did all of that, asked me to fly back to Dallas with him. Anyway, it ended up being that he was not a wrestler. He was a major drug dealer, dealing lots of 420. Yeah, it was crazy. So, yeah, that was two things that anyway, those were horrific dating stories. I just thought I'd share.
Yeah, those are again,
That
you
I had
avoided a
to
lot of trouble.
escape from.
You avoided a lot of trouble with both of those, Jolie. So thanks for jumping in. I appreciate you very much. Thanks a lot.
I want to know who the wrestler is.
Wasn't a wrestler.
Thank you.
Oh,
You missed the story. He wasn't. He wasn't.
It
a
was
wrestler.
her.
You
His
missed the
name was.
story. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to kick you, Jolie. I'm sorry.
I thought that was a separate story. Oh no, it was a separate. Okay, got you. Sorry, it's very late here.
It is very late.
Clearly, my ADHD
It's very
was
late.
focused on the wrestler. I was like, oh.
I was trying to work out who it was. I was like, can we play 20 questions to work out who this wrestler is?
Everyone,
Why
please
is everyone spitting on him though? If he wasn't
Because
actually.
so if you're a wrestler, so I know you. I mean, you're such another example of American excellence, Erica. When you're a wrestler in the States, you're either a good guy or a bad guy. So
No, I
wherever you
know,
go-
but he wasn't actually a wrestler.
No, but I think the perception was that maybe he was portraying himself to be a wrestler. Maybe he was, but he was also a drug dealer. Like a
Oh, I
420
see.
dealer. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm making that up as we go. Everyone, please consider subscribing. Also, if you do become a subscriber to the channel, in the link tree in my Discord, in my link tree, there's a link to our Discord. If you subscribe, you're going to be automatically enrolled in the subscribers section of our Discord, which is a nice advantage. We stream movies. We'll do some subscriber only events. We also have the merch stores over there. So if you like some of the merch and you subscribe, you can get 10% off, but you don't have to be a subscriber to access the merch store. And there's some really cool new stuff in there. In fact, actually, just launched
Really
today.
hot off the presses.
Banana hammock.
Banana hammock.
We have liberal scum. We have
Oh, hang on.
I am fucking Zen. We have hashtag girl dad, and we have I am radical. So all those would be appropriate for this time of the year. So please consider and let us know. You can give us your
Liberal
feedback.
scum is going to be my new favorite, I think.
Which one?
Liberal scum.
Hell yeah.
And I am radical.
If you read it slowly, Amy Dawn, there's a bit of a double entendre there.
Okay.
Can I say with the banana hammock, the only reason I used the font I did was because the font was called Banana.
Oh, the perfect font. Really.
So there's the banana. There's the banana hammock.
Listen,
that's exceptional.
I need one of those when I go to Jamaica. Yes.
Yeah, you do. I Agwan Rasta.
Yes.
We're gonna have curved writing on it at the end.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you all for that. I appreciate it.
Can we just do a little housekeeping? Please tap the screen. Steve does have a gifting goal tonight. If you should feel so inclined, it's a little envelope of some sort. It was kind of cute. And we also love the shares, and kicking back, and this feels like almost like a subscribers only chat, which maybe we should do maybe a subscribers only something sometime.
We are. Yeah, we're going to do that again. We've actually been asked about hang on one second. We've been asked about whether or not we're going to stream Storm Foretold again, and I think we are. A lot of people had asked about that. So an update on the you're not going to like the update I'm going to give on the Apprentice movie, but I'm going to give it anyway. So the Kickstarter campaign for the Apprentice movie is out in theaters. It's getting really good reviews. So the hope was that we would get. I subscribed to the Kickstarter campaign, and we were told initially that we would get the streaming rights after the theatrical release, but before it went to a streaming service. So now it seems like they've changed some of the language on their website. So we're supposed to get the stream in December. I don't know if that's going to be after they send it out to streaming services. At that point, what's the point? So I'm not calling it a scam. I'm just saying that who knows. So we'll keep you updated on that. But anyway, thank you for the PSA, AD. Appreciate it. Allie, how are you tonight?
Good. It's a little witchy, but
it's always tough to tell.
That's okay.
Yeah, I like that better.
I know.
A little witchy.
Yeah, because I'm just a little bit.
My son says hello to everybody. By the way, he's watching.
Hello,
hey, buddy.
son.
Enjoy that truck. Enjoy that truck, pal. A little witchy. So tell us your story.
Well, so about a year ago, I stupidly went on Facebook dating. And so I started, this guy matched with me. I started talking to him. We had probably maybe about a week and a half, 2 weeks. We texted back and forth. And so when it was like he wanted to meet, so I had him, he lives in Virginia too, which I thought was, and I'm in Pennsylvania. So it's like a 5-hour drive. I had him come up and meet me. I was out with my cousin and a friend of mine in a public place. And like he seemed normal enough. We had a fun time. We hung out after. The next day, he first off immediately like messaged me and told me that he thought I used the bathroom too much and he thought I had an infection. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? We were at a bar, I was drinking, and so I was like, that's a little weird. Couple more conversations and he said something about, he quoted something of Andrew Tate, and I was like, listen. I was like, if that's the kind of person that you look up to, like, this isn't going to work, straight up. And he's like, well, I don't know. I don't like everything, and kind of talked me into, like, a second date. So I go on this date, and he started doing all the weird dude bro podcast stuff, like, take her to a place where like she's not dressed for the occasion, and if she complains like that, she must be a diva. Like, take me to the park in flip-flops, but let's walk up this mountain, and just all these little tests. And I was like, listen, like, you need to chill out. We've known each other for like 3 weeks. In that span of time, he tried to tell me he claimed me. which is really odd. Let's see what else. I mean, it was just so I knew I kind of needed to. I'm slowly trying to back away because I'm like, he's after 3 weeks telling me he claims me. I'm gonna try to like back out of this. And so then I avoided him for about a week. And then finally I told him, I'm like, listen, I'm not feeling it. Like, no fault. Like, I just don't think this is working out. You go find somebody else. I'll go find somebody else. Like, let's just call the whole thing off. We've known each other 5 weeks, like no harm, no foul. And he sent me 45 minutes worth of voice messages just screaming about everything. Like, he told me everything that he thought was wrong with me, including the fact that, like, apparently my cats used the litter box while he was here that one time, and that was an issue. It was crazy. Ranting text messages about, you're not the one who's good enough for me. It's not the other way around. He has, the only reason he wanted to be with me was because he had all these side chicks, but they're like all kinds of crazy stuff. He has side chicks who are married with 18 diplomas and like lost his mind. So I thought, like, okay, he got to say what he said. And then about a month later, all of a sudden, these like weird fake accounts keep showing up on Facebook that are like telling people I'm spreading herpes. And so I blocked that one. Then another one shows up, and it's this other random name. People I've never met, don't know these pictures in the profile pictures. And then just recently, and mind you, this was a year ago. It is now almost an exact year later, and he just found me on TikTok again to tell me that he's going, he called my job on Christmas Day and left messages about this. He sent emails to I don't know how he found my ex-husband's emailed him that he should like do something to my trailer. And so this year he's still on that kick, like made a whole like fake TikTok account, keeps making new ones, like, and so I have gone to the authorities for all this stuff.
I was just gonna say.
Like, I've contacted local, state, and federal because it's across state lines, it's cyber crimes, it's all that stuff.
Yeah.
But, and I'm still at the point where I can't even figure it out. Like, I knew you for 5 weeks. How does somebody know somebody for 5 weeks and is this bent out of shape? About just being like, hey, like, you go live your life. Like, and this is why I am done dating. Like,
dopamine and oxytocin are a terrible drug combination. Let me tell you.
What got me is like, this is a 40-year-old person, okay, who used, for one, he used words like Riz, like unironically, and pronounced mesquite, which was odd. And like
it's a very good thing. I'm so glad that you have gone to the authorities, because I would really feel scared for you if you had.
Yeah, like I don't understand it. I don't, because I've dated people, and after a couple weeks they've been like, hey, this isn't working out, and I never once like thought that I needed to like stalk them for a year.
This completely reminds me of, first of all, those messages, if you still have them, I would make a TikTok out of every one of them, like I just would, because it would serve him right. And secondly, does anyone remember there was a video on here a while ago, and loads of people used the sound from it, where there was a guy, and it was a voice message that a guy had left for a woman, and he was like, oh, hi, this is so and so that you met out on the street.
I
and this is the 4th time that I've called you, and if you haven't called me back by 1:30, then my offer is no longer there. I am a real catch. I'm good looking. I'm great in bed. And then saying, I don't know what your problem is, whether you have mental health issues or whether you were abused, but and lots of people were playing it as if they'd been sent it by a man and were playing it in front of like their dad or their brother, or
Yeah.
and just watching their faces as they were listening to this message. But he sounds like that guy. Like you,
Oh,
like just make sure you've got a lock on, like a good lock on your door, please.
Yeah, no, I do. And I have made a couple of TikToks about it because the one I called it a Sigma poetry reading because he also referred to himself as a Sigma, which was also one of the things that grossed me out. But and so I read it as a dramatic reading, and it just gets more insane the more I read it. And my thing is, when he messaged me on TikTok, he was like, "If you would woman up and apologize." Now, mind you, from a fake account, like from an account of a picture of a person that I've never met. Also, he keeps using pictures of white dudes, and I haven't been with a white dude in like 10 years. So, and that was my ex-husband. So, but, so from a fake account, so no one's ever come to me to tell, because honestly, if I legitimately did have something, for one, if I didn't know it, like you could be a mature person and come and talk to me.
No, wait, what you don't ever have to do is even act like that's even a thing. Like, no, that's the side. No.
But then on top of that, it's like, that's what I mean. No one that I've ever been with has come to me and said anything.
Yeah, zero to you, so don't.
And then it's like, when you're messaging from a fake account telling me to apologize, that's what I made a video because I'm like, how am I supposed to, even if there was any problem with me, even if you want me to apologize, how can I apologize when I don't actually, like, I know who you are, but I don't actually know who you are. So like, no, you don't want an apology. You want harassment. Like,
No,
because
this doesn't
otherwise,
like it's not okay. He's not well. It has zero to do
no,
with
I'm aware because I'm like, I shouldn't, first off, any accusation, the burden of proof is on the accuser, but whatever. Like, I'm big enough to admit, like, I was tested before, I've been tested since, like, especially after the accusation, because I was like, oh my God, what if, but no. So it's not even that. And it's like, this person is just insane. Oh, that's another thing I forgot. At the 5 weeks when I was getting ready to tell him that like I wasn't interested at all in anything further, he casually said something about he was going to court because I guess his ex was had taken him to court for a restraining order and possibly abusing his daughter. So I was like, yeah. And because I'm the type of person, I don't know if it's my tism or what, but like my brain never comprehends treating people badly. Like no matter what, I've had people do some really terrible things to me. Like my ex-husband threatened to murder me, and I still was never, like, I never went out of my way.
Let's just be a little bit careful.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I never went out of my way to like get retribution or anything. I just protected myself and got out of the situation. And so I think that's what drives me the most nuts about it, is because like my brain can't comprehend like treating someone this way or being upset enough about anything to like for a year let this like sit and seether just because somebody told you they didn't want to date you.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with you. Trauma is always projected from a traumatized source, and he is obviously projecting a whole lot of trauma. So hopefully he'll get help, and that's it. That's all. Like, I'm just glad that you're taking the steps to put all of it on record so that whenever, like just protection and making the public aware and having a record, like that's a good thing. So I'm glad you're doing that.
Are you safe? Do you feel safe in your space? I mean,
Yes, I do. I've made sure I have cameras and motion lights and locks, and I've done all that. And I live in a pretty small town, so the local police know me pretty well, like because it's just everybody knows everybody. So when I contacted them, like they make sure they do like extra rounds near my place and stuff. So I do feel safe for the most part, and because I don't know that he's gonna do anything physically, but I still tried to make sure I was like.
From what you've described, though, you're not the only one at risk, right?
Exactly.
Like, it might not be you, but it could be the next person. I mean, who knows?
Right.
And it could be not.
Yeah.
But either way, the behavior pattern is enough that I'm really glad that you spoke out, because that alone takes courage. Because a lot of times you'll justify. I think, especially in our culture, we'll justify things like that to just like because we start second guessing our own judge of character and things like that.
Yeah.
We won't say something, but I'm so glad that you didn't do that, that you were like, oh, this is not okay, and had the courage to just put it on record, because that's gonna help if there is ever something.
That's right.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, a little bit. I just followed you because as an empath, now I'm going to worry about you. But that's the way it's supposed to be. So
you just got on the list. You got on the list. You'll be invited.
You're on
to
our
the
list
island.
now. So
When we buy the island, you'll be invited.
Oh,
Exactly.
perfect.
Please reach out if there's anything that we can do, short term, long term. Just kind of if you feel so inclined, if you feel like you're comfortable doing that, this is a space that we could hopefully, if help's needed, we've been able to do that in many cases. So just keep us in the loop.
Get in our Discord.
Thank you. I appreciate that very, very much. I really do. Because it is always a thing. It's like, I know it happens so much in society, and it's like people, I don't know. I feel like some people just like either laugh it off, or they don't see it as being as much of an issue as it is. And it's like when now you don't even know who you can talk to, because they could be a person that's going to end up like this. Like, I talked to this guy for, like I said, a total of 5 weeks, and that wasn't even seeing each other every day, just texting. And like for a little bit he was normal, and then all of a sudden it was like, so it makes you like worry about talking to people or telling anybody about it, because it's like there's a stigma sometimes that the woman did something wrong or should have picked better. And it's like, how can you pick better if they're really good at pretending they're normal for a little bit?
It's not on you anyway.
It's not
Definitely
on you.
not on you. So sorry that's
I
happened,
know.
but sounds like you're
Thank you.
you're handling it the best.
Like I told my ladies group chat this morning, resist picking up emotional baggage that does not belong to you. Leave that shit on the conveyor belt for somebody else, the rightful owner. Okay. So I'm just glad that you're feeling safe, and please join our Discord. Our community takes care of its own. Those who want to be part of our community get the benefit of being part of our community. So if you need anything, the Discord
Thank
is like
you.
the offline community, basically. Even though it's like the party after the party. It's behind the VIP room, all that, all the good things.
Awesome. Yeah, because Facts, I have been watching your lives for a while now, because I'm into the political discourse part of it, and learning stuff. I am voting for Kamala, just to throw that out there. But
you'll fit right in our Discord then. Yeah.
Awesome.
We
I
you.
appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you very much, and thank you for your bravery. And like I said, the offer's there. DM, message us, join our Discord. It's a great resource, and we got you. So thanks for being here, and thanks for being vulnerable. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
If you do want to join the Discord, go to FactsStillMatter's bio, and in there you will find a link tree with a link. If that link does not work and you already have Discord downloaded, when you go to it, there's 3 little dots in the top right hand corner. Just click on them and copy the link and put it into your browser, and that will take you to the Discord.
And if that doesn't work, let somebody know in the chat. The mods will send you the link, just like Nikki just did, because Our mods are amazing.
We have a great team. Hey, Diane, how's it going?
Hey, Diane.
Hello. How are y'all?
Good. How you doing?
Hey, Diane.
Thanks for sliding through. Thank you for having me up. I was, scrolling as we do. My mom's in town and was walking the pupper, and I was like, "Ooh, tell us your dating horror story." I kind of, yeah.
And
I have an well, do you want to hear about the one with the guy with the cancer that I put in prison, or do you want to hear about the one that lied about having cancer and unalived children?
Yes.
Sure. You can pick.
I can give you the speed version of both, or one
It's your
of
call.
the longer
Your
version.
space.
Well, tell us, set the scene. Take us through.
Okay, we'll start with the first one, I guess. This one was the
Yeah, Nikki says prison in all caps.
Prison.
So.
Okay,
That's
all
what
right. Nikki wins. Nikki wins. We'll do prison boy. So I was fresh out of my 5-year relationship and had been working at the club very briefly at the end of that relationship. Having fun doing the dancey thing, and I actually liked it for like a hot minute, but it wasn't for me. I did it for all of like a few months. But anyways, so then I got a job as a flight attendant, and in that very short amount of time, started seeing someone, and he seemed so very nice. He was a bit older than me, not a lot, maybe 9 years or so. I'm 24 at the time, 25. He was a complete and total um, narcissist for a multitude of reasons. He lied about having cancer, like Hodgkin's lymphoma, like into my mom's face, and sorry, I'm adjusting this thing. To my mom's face, and she is a breast cancer survivor. To my mom's face, even, lied about his Hodgkin's lymphoma, said that he was incapable of having children because he had gone through so much radiation. Right? Yeah. And when he met me, I was already a flight attendant, and he was perfectly fine with that. He had like a situation with an ex that I believed, so we moved in together pretty quickly. But it was at that point that he no longer trusted me as a flight attendant. Then it was like, you have a boyfriend in every city that you're probably sleeping with, blah 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 blah. Which I did not. I'm very much a monogamous person, if that's what our relationship was about when we get started, right? So the projection there, and I was fine with him not being able to conceive. I was like, okay, maybe we'll adopt, or we'll just have all of our critters. Like, I had a dog and he had 2 dogs. Lo and behold, we'll fast forward. This is after physical abuse started happening. I would get home, he'd be drinking, and he made me look like a set of skis once. He had his foot on my back and was repeatedly nudging me with his other foot. Not fun. Stole my work ID, got me fired from work, got me preggers, and then repeated to lie and say that I must have slept with somebody else in order to get pregnant. And then I find out through some of his family members that he had never even had cancer. Yeah. And this is in Georgia, mind you. And I found out almost immediately. I'd never been pregnant before either. I made it to, and this was like the day after my 25th birthday, I think I found out I was pregnant. I go and I get an appointment made to do the AB, and they do the ultrasound and say that I'm 6 weeks and 1 day. Now I'm 41 years old, so this was when I was 25, so 16 years ago. This is before the 6-week thing was in. So because of that 1 day, I wouldn't have been eligible, like, at all. And that's like even with 1 day, and I don't even know how they do that, but yeah, 6 weeks and 1 day, I wouldn't be eligible now. But so that when I did that, he was fine with it, right? Like at first, but then of course proceeded to be that way again, like abusive right after the fact, and said that I unalived his only shot at ever having kids because it was such a, act of God or something, I think he said. Yeah. So because he was so narcissistic and so conniving and convinced people what a good guy he was, because he made it a point never to hit me like anywhere on the face or anywhere noticeable. what I did was I took him to like a bar up in Atlanta that I had told him I'd never been to before, that I actually did know people there. And it didn't take much for him to get real mad and get my face and do that in front of everybody in the mirror. So that's what got him arrested for the simple battery. Because that was, I mean, I wasn't trying to trap him so that that could happen, but that's just what happened. And so, yeah, I was like, no, I want him gone. But there was no safe way for me to like get him out of like the home that we both were, you know, renting. Both of our names were on the lease. It was just, it was scary. And then because he would not abide by the restraining order, because the restraining order just kind of goes along with simple battery, like leave her alone. Don't email her, don't text her. He could not do it. He thought that doing like the star 6-7 and do like the unknown number would, you know, prevent the authorities from being able to find his number or figure out that was him. Because I knew it was him. He's like, what if someone wanted to tell you that they're sorry? And I'm going, I know that's him. So that got him in prison for 4 years. And whereas I moved to Seattle just to get out of Georgia because I was scared about him getting out one day and being a total psycho. So that one was fun.
Yeah. I'm so sorry about how that happened to you. Thank you for sharing that, Jane.
Thank you. I feel like now that I'm older, obviously I could recognize a lot more red flags. There were things back then that I saw, but like, you know, like a very, very narcissist. I'm sure a lot of people here are familiar with narcissists. Yeah.
But you know,
They're
you
very,
didn't know
very
what
good
you
at
didn't
it.
know.
They're good at it.
You didn't know what you didn't know at the time. Otherwise, you would have known, right? Like, of course, you see the repercussions of your choices after you make them. We're not meant to know at the time. You did the best you could. And I'm just glad you're here. And I'm sorry that that was part of your story. But
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm kind of, that one's been so long ago now, it doesn't feel as bad. But when I think about Roe v. Wade and go, or,
I
you know, how
was just
Georgia
gonna
has those red
say.
flag laws, I'm like, oh my God, I would have been forced to carry this dude's baby because
And
of
that's
one day.
I was just going to say, you know, the moral of it is, though, you got to take pause for the fact that it did work out that way for you. And when, you know, I had definitely moments in my life that if Roe v. Wade had been overturned when these moments happened, there's no way there's no way.
Mm-hmm.
And there's every one of us probably has a story, right? When you think about it, every one of us has a story or two that would have been different if we'd have been a little younger, whatever. If we'd have been born later, like if we were our girls' age now.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's what, not to take this serious, but like just what you shared is such a great example of why this election matters so much, is because things that we could do that were right, that did allow us to have that, that laws don't exist to protect us anymore. And I just don't give a fuck about your wallet. I just don't. Like, this is too important.
Agreed. Agreed. And I was always very I'm sorry, Fax, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say I was always very pro-choice even before like my situation. But when I would think back, I go like, oh my God, it took me, like, it's rare for a woman to even find out that they're pregnant that early anyways. Plus, you know, I was believing the guy that said that he couldn't even have kids.
Yeah.
And that went on for, you know, a good 7 months where we weren't using protection and it was fine. I got lucky. But then when I did, the first thing out of their mouth was like, you've been cheating on me. And I'm like, no, unless it's an immaculate pregnancy. No, it's yours. So you're the one lying here. And yeah, because it even took 2 weeks to get the appointment because of that one day, thinking that I could have been forced to have that. I'm pro-choice anyways, but the fact that other women are in that situation is just gut-wrenching. Gut-wrenching. You know? Like those laws are ridiculous and unreasonable.
These stories we hear a lot, you know, and it just disgusts me that men treat, you know, women that way. And, you know, it's oftentimes to strangers, but Diana and you and I are friends. And I just, you know, I hear these stories and, you know, about the things that are done to people that you know and that you care about, and you worry about, and not knowing that. And then you add the elements as to what you're talking about women's rights to their body. And there's so many layers to it. It's just like, we have to do better. we have to do better. We've got to strive to be better. I mean, we can't even, never mind raising the bar. The bar's in the shitter. We got to get it out of the fucking ditch so we can at least have conversations about moving forward. It's just these stories are just hard. I mean, our previous guests and stalkers and this craziness. And sure, we had some fun earlier, some funny stories, but this is still real life, and these things are affecting people. And these are the faces of the people that this is impacting. And
I mean,
everybody knows somebody. If it hasn't happened to you, you know somebody who it's happened to.
The type of men that have been some of the topics in these stories who very clearly did not know how to understand the word no and respect consent and the lack of consent are the same men needing to make the laws against women's bodies right now, because that entitlement of control over women, that starts, and there's a long thread of that. So
well, and even when it's not as serious as Diane's story, right? Someone has just said in the comments, has anyone heard about the Facebook groups, Are You Dating My Boyfriend?
Yeah.
The number of guys that I have spoken to during my my online dating days, where you would start getting to know someone and you would think they were quite nice, and after a couple of weeks of chatting, they would say, look, I just want to let you know I am married. We don't love each other anymore. We're just staying together for the kids. We don't have sex. And I'm like, does she know you don't love each other anymore? Is she aware that you're only staying together for the kids, or is this just a you decision? Because that happened to me multiple times. Luckily, I never went out on dates with any of those people. And there's one guy who still will occasionally message me on Facebook and say, and this man is a married man with a wife, obviously, well, not obviously, but with a wife, and will occasionally message me on Facebook and say, are you sure you don't? Yes, I'm very positive. And you keep blocking them and they keep coming back. It's just, I don't understand it. I don't understand the motivation behind that.
Oh, same. I don't get it. When you say no, and when you go out of your way, when you block someone, their email, their phone number, like in every way, and then they go out of their way to create accounts to like try to like win you over. I don't get that. Like when I was a bartender and tell people that they were 86 for bad behavior, and then they want to come back. Like, nobody even wants you here. It would be weird. I would never want to go somewhere that I'm not wanted. And if people that didn't want to be friends with me anymore, I wouldn't, fight that hard. I wouldn't stalk them actively and be like, no, I'm right. It's a whole other level of scary that, empathic people versus narcissistic people cannot relate on, because people don't behave that way, that know that that's not okay. But the ones that are the really good, like narcissists that are good at lying and good at getting the sob story, or good at getting people to believe them, and they, dehumanize you and try to turn your own friends and family against you. And it's just some sick, weird way. I don't understand where they think they're going to get with that.
Yeah.
It's some sort of conquering mentality, which is, not okay.
I also think, like, people find themselves often in unhappy relationships, right? And that, that's just a fact of life. However, you leave that relationship before you start trying to find a new one. Because otherwise, first of all, if you will do that to somebody that you've been married to and have children with, you would definitely do it to someone else again, 100%. It's just if you're not happy in a relationship, don't stay in it. Like, it's that simple. If you're unhappy enough that you want to go seeking somebody else, unless you're in an open relationship and everybody's aware of it, don't go looking for somebody else. Like, just be a grown up and finish one relationship before you start another.
Right, or at least be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, at least be honest, right? I mean, I these stories. I mean, 17-year-old daughter, gonna be a senior in high school next year. I just,
I don't envy you. I love you to pieces, and you're an amazing father, and you love your kids so much, and they open up to you. Or a lot of, I don't like talking to my dad, and don't for good reason. But the fact that your kids even come to you is like you're doing a good job if they're at that age now and they love coming and they're comfortable coming to you. So, but I don't envy you having a daughter at this day and age just because of it's scary. You've got to be scared all the time. I'd be terrified.
Yeah, I
But you're
mean,
doing everything you can, in my opinion, Sir Steve.
yeah, you always wonder, right? You just wonder. But I think about these things, and I think about just everybody's kids, and I just see just such bad behavior, and I see the bad behavior from women too. Let's be honest.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I was scrolling through a live the other day, and there was a woman on the panel, and it was obvious a very right wing leaning live, and the conversation was about like, I don't. What are they just supposed to? I want the person I'm on a date with to just grab me and kiss me, and I'm like okay, so there's some elements to romance, sure, but like the conversation continued, and she was just talking about assault. She was literally saying that it's okay to assault me, like no consent, and just like it's crazy. It's just the reason for me and for most of us who believe what we believe, that we have a hard time understanding it, is because, or I should say, when we start to understand it is going to be a problem. The fact that we don't understand why people can do it is the point. Like, how the fuck could you ever be okay with something like that? And just saying those things, and just, I don't know. I'm sorry, Diane.
Yeah. Thank you. It's okay. And now I just don't date anymore. I just avoid it like the plague.
Yeah.
Panfila in the comments, they should be hesitant. They shouldn't just be grabbing people. Like, and if you think they should be, then that's very much a you problem.
Yeah, that's right. That was the quote. Somebody, this chat this live that I was telling you about, the person said they thought that consent wasn't sexy.
Ew.
A woman said that.
Consent isn't I mean, if you're already in the relationship and you're role playing and like, I've been dating this guy for, like even my last honey. Yeah, we would have some things where he would like, come home and just be like, bend me over the couch. We've been already together for a while and that relationship is established. But somebody that you don't know and like on a first date, if you come at me like that, you're probably going to get like tasered if I had one. Maced at least. I don't know.
Right.
Punched in the throat, maybe?
Can I
Punched
say
in the
though,
balls.
someone who teaches young people about consent isn't necessarily saying to somebody, can I kiss you, in an unsexy way? And but consent, we give consent in lots of ways. The way you are with your body implies consent. But if somebody is not enthusiastic in their response to what you are doing, you do not have consent. Consent has to be enthusiastic. It doesn't necessarily have to be verbal, but it has to be enthusiastic. So you can, literally, you can stick your manly bollocks up your ass. That's a very British thing to say. I appreciate, but
So it's correct. Yep.
Sorry, I wish I could say bollocks and it's have as good of an impression as when people with British accents say it, because I love that word. I think it's fun and hilarious. But when I say it, it just doesn't give the oomph that I want it to. It doesn't work when I say it.
Bollocks, in my opinion, is the best word ever invented by humans. Just
fuck is the best word.
I mean, I say balls. I'll be like
bollocks.
balls when I yell, but like it doesn't. It's not the same.
Diane, thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me up. I have another one I can say for next week if you want. That's a quickie, but that one's a little more
Another time
fun.
with that one. Another time with that one.
We'll save that one. Stay tuned.
I appreciate you very much.
Thanks for having me up,
yourself,
hon. Good to see you all. Bye,
Talk
Erica.
to you soon. See you later. Bye.
Bye. Saying that, I have brought you all to bed with me. I hope I have your consent. Like it's late, but I'm staying up. I'm keeping going.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for taking us. Thank you for taking us to bed with you. I appreciate it. Everyone, please keep tapping and sharing. We appreciate you all for being here and hanging with us. We'll go until 10, then we'll read our friend Olive. Bisectional, how are you?
Oh, hello.
How's it going?
It goes. I haven't actually had the chance to jump on a panel, but I'm glad that I can join on a very lighthearted one of sorts.
Yeah.
Some of it hasn't been so lighthearted, but maybe my experience will be a little more lighthearted for people to maybe make things a little more uppity, I guess, after hearing some sad stuff.
Like real life can be good and bad, right? That's why we're here to talk about it.
Oh, yes. So I have one funny story because I was sitting there thinking at work, like, what is my dating horror story? What would that be? And I actually got catfished off a dude from Tinder.
Oh boy.
And it just like, I should have known when I met him that it was going to be really, really bad. I live near the casinos, so he was like, hey, come meet me at the casino. I'm going to bring you out for drinks. We'll go to a club. We'll have fun. And I was like, all right, sounds good. Like, I'm in public. There's plenty of people around. If anything goes wrong, I can just go where I need to, you know? So I met him in the pretty much right outside one of the parking garages. He was 6 inches shorter than he told me he was. He used a picture from 10 years ago. And I don't mean to judge people, but when you're like 5'7" and your tattoo on your arm is flames going up it, I kind of already get like a bad vibe because you're not good at making choices if you got like a car decal tattooed on your arm, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let's make the best of it. I go inside, we get in line, we go to the club. I'm trying to have a conversation with him and like it's really, really stale, very surface level, like not interested. I'd also like to add that the Republican convention was there that night. So this made things way more interesting for a liberal person.
Sure.
So we're in the club. He bought me a couple drinks and then he's like, hey, let's dance. And I was like, cool. Don't dance on me. That's my rule. I don't like men dancing on me. I like to make that decision myself. No. We don't do that. He was fine with it at first. But after a few drinks, I felt good. I started dancing with women. He got really, really offended right off the rip that I started dancing with women. It was so bad to the point where he distanced himself from me. He stopped talking to me. And I was okay with this because he already gave me really, really bad vibes. So I went into the bathroom and he had left. I went to the bar, I bought myself a drink, and I opened my phone, and this man sent me essays for an hour. You're a piece of shit. You fucking used me for drinks. How dare you ever come out with me? Like, he started harassing me because I wasn't interested in him. And I started buying my own drinks instead of letting him buy me my drinks and thinking he was going to get something, which was never going to happen anyways. It was so bad that I had to, like, literally unmatch with him to get the messages to stop. It was the whole night. He was just this, first off, a catfish. So like, I don't rank myself like anywhere on a scale. Like, I think I'm pretty, but I was definitely way prettier than he should have gotten. Honestly, he was just not a good looking dude. He had a terrible attitude, and the way he treated me screamed everything I needed to know about him. If I'm gonna buy my own drinks so you don't have to spend your money, and then you're gonna tell me that I'm just using you for your money and this and that and the other thing, and then you're mad because I danced with women. Women, not men, women. Like, you need to really get your shit together. And I don't know whatever happened to that dude. I hope to God he is not in the dating pool because other women will have to be subjected to his bullshit, and that's not fair.
Insecure much?
Oh, he was so insecure. And I actually had so much fun that I got drunk enough to try and throw my ass on a Republican who was more offended by me trying to twerk on him than this guy was the entire date.
Oh gosh. Another story. My goodness gracious. Like, I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah, I figured it'd be a little
Myself.
bit more lighthearted because I'm sure everybody's got a catfish story. I'm sure somebody, that was the first time I've ever been catfished, but oh my God.
I can't even imagine, like just these stories, 57 years old and two very long relationships have dominated my adult life since I was 30. And I just can't imagine I just can't imagine dating for women these days in particular. I just can't imagine it. I can't
No,
imagine it. And these
no.
stories that we
And
hear
like,
is just crazy.
and I think out of like all of my experiences, like that was probably the worst on dating, but I did spend almost 4 years with a guy who, when we broke up, told me he was embarrassed by the person I was. And I never wish that on anybody because that's just a wild thing to say to somebody that you were like, I'm going to marry you. Then you're embarrassed by me. Like, why would you stay with me?
Well, hurt people, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And the only thing I ever advocated for him to do is go to therapy.
I advocate for everyone to go to therapy. Yes, please.
And then go again.
And again and again and again and again.
Yes. And if you don't find the right therapist, don't stop. Keep going until you find someone who gets you. And I think that's everybody's problem is they give up when they start because they don't find somebody who matches what they need in a therapeutic aspect. I've been with mine for 7 years and she makes me feel so wonderful and I can text her at any time.
Yep, you got to find the one that you vibe with. I can't be the therapist for everyone and I don't want to be. Right? But I want everyone to find their me, whoever that is, right?
Right.
Like, just figure it out. Get somebody.
Bisexual.
Anybody.
Sorry, Amy. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the most important part of the therapeutic relationship is that trust and rapport in the therapist. It has zero to do with what modality they use, what you may think you know what you need. Like, I want to go to somebody who does DBT, or I want to go to somebody who knows EMDR or whatever. Okay, cool. But most importantly, find the therapist that you can make an alliance with and trust, because you're going to go into some stuff, I guarantee you. And if you don't trust the person, regardless of their education and what they do, it's not going to work. So don't be afraid to advocate for yourself, because you wouldn't stay with a doctor that didn't treat you right. So don't stay with a therapist who doesn't vibe with you. We don't want that. Neither do you.
I agree. That's wonderful, wonderful information. And I think that's some advice people should take. And it's always just don't stop, because you will always hit roadblocks. But being honest with yourself and being able to open up with somebody, that's the best thing you can do, because learning how to control scenarios that you would otherwise lose control in and learning how to navigate those in a healthier way has been the biggest saving grace of me actually maturing in my adult life. Because if not, I would have stayed in this cyclic behavior that I was constantly doing and not learning and growing. And everything that I've learned, I've taken into my new relationship, where I've been gentle and nurturing and the kind of partner that my partner needs to deconstruct from his abusive relationship. And I still advocate for him to go to therapy, but that is on his time when he is ready. I will never push anybody to do something, because the more you push somebody, the less likely they are to do it. Therapy is just not something you can push somebody to do.
Preach. And don't settle.
Never settle.
Life's too
Never
short.
settle.
Bisexual, thank you for being here. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much.
You got it. See you later. Bye.
Heck yeah. Especially don't settle for yourself.
Yep. Exactly.
You deserve it.
We all do. Hi, Lola. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fine.
I watch
thank you.
you every morning, so it's really cool to be able to sit here and have a conversation with you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. What's on your mind?
Are we okay with this getting a little bit dark as long as I'm careful with language?
Absolutely. Safe space.
Okay.
If you're comfortable with it, we're happy to listen.
We're here to listen.
Appreciate that. So I met a guy on a dating site. He seemed okay. It was pre-initial. There was a drive-in going on, and I really wanted to go see Uncle Buck, and I thought, yeah, that'd be kind of a fun thing to do. I'll meet you there. Well, then he's running late and stuff, and he's super apologetic. Hey, and I'm sitting there, I'm feeling blown off. So I have a glass of wine, and then I have another glass of wine, not used to being stood up. And then he calls, and he's apologetic. Business deal went late. I'll just come pick you up. And now I can't drive at this point. And now my judgment's impaired, right? So I let him come pick me up. Now my kids are at their dad's. My teenager, is spending a night at her friend's. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm going to have some fun. So he comes and picks me up. He says, hey, let's go to dinner first. But we missed the movie. And I'm like, okay, so we went to dinner. He shows up in a Porsche, not a fucking Porsche, I'm sorry, a Ferrari, by the way. And he just is talking about what a big deal he is. And I'm already getting the creep vibes. I'm like, what have I done? So we go to dinner, and he's like, okay. And then I can't remember what we were going to do after. He's like, I honestly don't remember. But we're going to do something alternate instead in public. So we're going to do that. And I'm like, well, this isn't the way. And he says, oh, no, I just got to stop by and drop this paperwork off, feed my dogs. Pulls into a warehouse. Like, there's just warehouse after warehouse after warehouse. Oh, yeah, no, this is my warehouse. This is where I store all the stuff that he's selling and doing and this and that. So I'm like, it's okay, I'll just wait in the car. And he's like, he's a while. So I get out and get curious, right? Pop my head in. He says, here, just grab a drink out of the cooler. There's a freaking hot tub in this warehouse on the bottom. And upstairs, he's got like a party lounge, right? And his little dogs come out and they're really, really sweet. I'm just like, okay, yeah. So we end up, he's like, here, well, put this music on, whatever. So I set my phone down, I'm playing with the dogs. And then he starts acting really weird, like really fast. He starts talking to the dogs like in a sweet voice, but saying the most vulgar things. I mean, basically threatening them. I mean, with brutal, just like detail. And he's saying it all really sweet and loving, and they don't know what he's saying, but I'm sitting here and he thinks it's really funny. And I'm just, okay, I'm ready to go. So I go to grab my phone. Where's my phone? He took my phone and silenced it. He then proceeds to do rugs. And he held me there till the morning when he finally crashed. My alarm went off because it doesn't care if you're silenced. And I was able to find my phone. I grabbed it. He pushed me down the stairs, trying to stop me. I grabbed it and I ran. I jumped a fence to get out of the storage area. Or not storage, the warehouses, And I just ran. I just ran and ran and ran. I had a friend who lives in that area, and I called them. They came pick me up. And I came home. My daughter was like, it's like already, this is like 11:30 when I got out of there, and the next day, because he was ramped up. And I never, ever, ever, yes, meet people in public, but making a plan to meet in public and then riding with someone, ladies, you're going to put yourself or gentlemen in a really bad situation, because there are really crazy people out there.
I'm telling you, I wasn't joking when I said it's like the majority of these stories are a prequel to a Dateline episode. Like, that one could have been.
God only knows what could have or would have.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And sadly, and Lola, thank you for being so transparent and trusting of your story in our space. I think it's another example of I've seen situations like this, and you did not do that, but I've seen women blame themselves for these circumstances. Like I shouldn't have gotten in the car. I should have made a better choice. And it's just like,
Yeah,
No.
resist that. Mm-mm.
You know, you can't blame your. And again, I'm not saying you are, but oftentimes we see that. I think we know exactly what I'm talking about. We see a lot of times when women will blame themselves for that, and I just think it's unfortunate that that's happened because.
Or they know others will blame them, and so they just stay quiet because they don't want to deal with the judgment of others.
Right.
I shared my story right after it happened, like in a abuse survivors group.
Sure.
And I was immediately victim blamed. I was told this didn't happen. You put yourself in a situation, and I felt that way. Do you know? I really did.
That was in an abuse survivors group that you got. Wow.
It was online.
Ew.
Okay.
So you know how that goes. Keyboard warriors sit there and I never did go to the police because I just knew, I just knew it was going to happen.
And that's okay that you didn't. And that's the thing that's also a very important thing I think needs said is just support other women in whatever they decide to do, because that's their decision ultimately if they want to go through all the things that puts a person through, right? And I will never judge a woman or a victim in general. Whoever that is, if you're a victim of something such as that, it's up to you how far you take whatever you need to take it. And I will not accept any other reaction, because that's just being respectful of a human being needing to do whatever they need to do to heal. Sometimes that means the cops, sometimes that doesn't. But it's not for us to judge.
And Danita made a good comment. Women, especially codependent women, have so many distorted thoughts. But here's the thing, and also if you come from a background of abuse, you're just kind of well, I should have known better. I deserved it. And that's not okay. And then I've had people, I've told the story twice before. This is the third time I told it. And the second time I told it, I was met with that I'm a horrible human being because I didn't protect other women by reporting him, by being strong enough to stand up to my abuser. And there's guilt in that too, but you have to take care of yourself. I just wasn't in the space I was able to. And that's why I think it's so important that when women come out years after, and like in a recent civil case, we know, believe them. Don't shame them. And we need to be thinking forward and not, I don't want to get on my pedestal or preach my soapbox here, but that's why he cannot be allowed in office. What are we telling women? What are we telling our young men? Is okay.
Can I ask you a question? And obviously, if it's too personal, please don't. I don't want to offend you. I just was curious. How long did it take you to want to date again?
Oh God. Yeah, I was off for a year. Yeah, I was off for a year, and then it was something that I met organically, to where it was already feeling safe.
I'm glad you took the time to give yourself priority.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you said what you said about young men as well, right? I have this conversation again. My son is in here, and he knows I've had this conversation about the importance of not being. It's easily to be susceptible to the Andrew Tate energy, we'll call it, right? I think everybody knows what that is when we talk about it, and we've said this a million times, and how damaging toxic masculinity is to women, but it's also incredibly damaging to men. Young men in particular, that they think they have to be a particular way in society. And it sounds like that person that you were with maybe never grew up, and still hasn't likely. And they have this script in their head that that's the way that they're supposed to be. Eventually, some woman will appreciate my advances and taking them to the hot tub warehouse or whatever the fuck else it was. And it's just horrible. My goodness. I'm so sorry that happened to you, but it seems like you're. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say it's really important to add to this. The vast majority of women who have suffered some kind of abuse certainly never report it ever in their whole lives, and many women never even talk about it. So the idea that that anyone is to blame for not reporting what has happened to them, every time you know, we talk about these things, and I say this as someone who was abused when I was a child by a family member. Every time we talk about these things, it is re-traumatizing. So it's really important to just give people time and sympathy and, well, not necessarily sympathy, but empathy. And, you know, you are never to blame that you are the victim in these situations. And I don't even want to say victim, I want to say the survivor of these situations. Never, ever to blame that you're the survivor.
And I think we just really have to normalize believing victims in general, because as much as the granted, the majority of these crimes happen to women, when they do happen to men and boys, they're less likely, even more so less likely to report them because of the stigma that's attached to that with the definition of masculinity that we have in society.
I was literally when was I teaching this? Yesterday, about domestic abuse, and that domestic abuse can happen to anybody. It doesn't, you know, your
power and coercion.
Yeah, I was talking financially controlling relationships, coercively controlling relationships.
Right.
You know, yes, it happens more often to women, but it does also happen to men. I remember watching, we have a TV show here called 24 Hours in Police Custody, and there was a man who was the victim of domestic violence in his home, and he had the police had become involved multiple times, and he was in hospital with like kidney failure or something like that because he'd been beaten up so badly by his partner. And the police came in and interviewed him and said, "Do you want to report this?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then he phoned them the following day and said, "I've spoken to her. She still loves me. I don't want to report." And then a week later, that man was not with us anymore because it had got so bad that he was, you know, so I think it's really important that, and I'm kind of sad that we haven't had more men coming up and telling us about their experiences, because I am sure that there are also men who have been on horrific dates.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about you know, the Catholic Church scandal, and the overwhelming majority of children that were abused were men, and it, you know, and it took decades for many of those men to tell their stories if they did at all, and so many led to self-unaliving and all kinds of. I mean, again, this is a bigger, you know, a global story, but just another example. It's this stigmatization of men, and they're not allowed to be vulnerable in our society. They're allowed, but they're told they shouldn't be because they're considered weak and fragile and beta, whatever else. And that's, we're never going to change the narrative. Men are never going to feel like they can.
It shouldn't be associated with being masculine. Shouldn't be associated with like just being an asshole. Like that's not what we should be calling masculinity. We should be calling masculinity the strength to both be in touch with your logic and your emotions and your whole being.
Yeah,
that's kind of what women do. We've been doing pretty good at that. So, you know.
You've been doing it pretty damn well for a very long time. Yeah, we have some catching up to do.
We have our limitations as well, right? Like we really do well when we're together. We exist as a species together for reasons, and we need to play to our strengths. And too much ick.
Lola, anything else you'd like to share for friend?
Yeah, I'll say one more thing and then I'll drop down. Thank you guys so much.
Sure.
How about we think about masculinity as maturity for a person who identifies with those qualities instead of alpha? How about mature and wholeness?
I think of vulnerability too, because I think that's the big piece for men's aversion to being vulnerable, you know, and being able to talk about what's on their mind and just being fully transparent and just turning the faucet on and letting it flow. And it just doesn't happen.
I think as men, y'all need to have conversations amongst yourselves to decide, what do we want to be as masculine, right? Like, y'all are the ones that set the tone. You can do it.
I love you guys.
Instead of focusing on what you don't want to be, What does define masculinity for
Be the
us?
change you want to see. Lola, thank you so much, friend. Appreciate you very much. Just followed you. Please come back and see us, okay?
Thanks, Lola.
Thanks a lot.
And I'll just, add super quick. I've only just started talking about, in the last couple of years, the experiences that I had when I was a kid. And I still haven't told anybody anything in detail. But I'm 46 in less than a month. And I've only just started talking about it in the last couple of years. Because for a really long time, I didn't recognize what it was. And it was only when I was talking to a social worker in my job and they were telling me about a situation with a child that they were working with. And in my head, I was like, that's what happened to me. And, we don't necessarily at the time think, well, because we're children, right? We don't necessarily think at the time, well, that's what's happening. And even as adults, a lot of the time people can't see, the coercive control and manipulation and, all of that stuff that happens. It can be really difficult to see.
Thanks, Erica. Hey, Rev, how are you? We were just asking about. I'm sure there are men that have had these stories as well. So welcome to our party.
Hey, Rev.
Yeah. Hey, Amy. Hey, Erica. I was originally wanting to come up because I had kind of a funny horror dating story, and it wasn't even mine. It was an experience I had when I was Ubering up in Portland, and it was another person's date, but just the situation was really funny. But I think I think Erica and Amy bring up and you, Steve, bring up a great point that men aren't as willing to talk about their story as far as SA is concerned. So I can share mine if that's okay.
We're listening, brother. We're here.
All right. Okay, so this actually happened 3 years ago. I was just turned 41 actually, so it just proof that it can happen at any age, And now it wasn't a date per se, but what ended up happening was I was at a wedding with some dear friends, and because one of our best friends was getting married, and I originally had picked up my friend's boyfriend to take him to the wedding, and then I was just going to take my friend Whit and him back to their apartment. And as we left, I realized her boyfriend, who I actually considered a friend. I'd known him for a while. He was up in the front seat, extremely intoxicated, extremely. And the next thing I know, he is trying to fill me up in the car. And now I'm 6'5", and I'm a pretty big guy. And trust me, just because I know I'm a big guy, I froze. Because I was just in such shock as to what was happening. And I proceeded to, try to take his hands. I was driving, so I was trying to be safe about it. I was trying to take his hands and kept trying to move him over. I kept saying, "Hey, buddy, no, thank you." It's like, I know, I was like, "Buddy, I know you're drunk. I know you had a good time, but I was like, I need to drive, man." And he kept trying. And then, this went on like 4 separate times throughout the drive. So he kept trying to do it. And until finally I was like, "All right, dude, no, I'm still trying to drive, man. I just want to get you home so you can get some rest, man." And then he proceeded to start like beating the crap out of my car and yelling and saying how, just belligerently violent. And my friend Whit in the back was yelled at him to, "Hey, you need to calm down." And then he yelled back at her, "Shut up, you C-word bitch." So I immediately pulled over to the nearest stop. I looked right at him. I didn't care how drunk he was. I said, "Get the fuck out of my car." And then I got my friend in the front seat, and then we left. I was like, "You can call an Uber. I'm not putting up with that in my car. You don't talk to my friends that way." And then we proceeded to go back to the apartment where I had to wait with her because he was so violent. I was like, I don't know what he would do to her if I left. And I then proceeded to put my phone on record so that way we could get all the info and everything. And he came in and tried to pick a fight with me. And then proceeded basically to destroy everything in the apartment. Yeah. So, and I will say, I mean, if he would have taken a swing at me, I probably still wouldn't have reacted because for two reasons. Portland PD, their track record with the LGBTQ community is not the greatest.
Right.
So them seeing this guy who's like 5'10" and a 6'5" guy, and me saying he sexually assaulted me.
Right.
Oh, sorry, essayed. F1. Then I already knew I wasn't going to get believed. Because, and so I never reported it because I was like, okay, no, you guys don't have the best track record with this community, and you're going to look at me and look at him and wonder why didn't I just push him off?
From
your so I never reported it.
Yeah, Rev, I'm so sorry, man. It's good to talk to you again. It's unfortunate under these circumstances, but it is. I saw your text, by the way.
Get back to me when you want.
I gotcha. I noticed though, in your story, unless I didn't hear this correctly, that you didn't really stand up and change the situation until your friend got involved. You mentioned that your friend, I think you said Whit from the back seat, was the one that said something, and then he turned his anger towards her and called her this C word, that, and that's when it changed for you. Would that seems like you? Go ahead.
Oh no, because I was driving.
Right.
So
no,
I so I just kind of froze up because I didn't want to make anything dangerous going 75 miles an hour down the freeway.
Yeah, I guess what I was saying is, like, I was wondering, I'm wondering, your protector instinct kind of kicked in for someone else, but maybe not for yourself. Just sort of a weird, not weird, but I thought that was interesting. That
you literally have the same brain, because I was just gonna point that out. Was like it took you to see that your friend was being violated by his words to get out of the freeze that you had reacted in.
Yeah.
You were the one being violated, which, that's oftentimes.
Yeah, who knows what would have happened, right? Who knows what would have happened if that wasn't the situation? Again, sorry, man.
It's a nod to your resilience, even in the time of crisis.
Exactly.
And to kind of push, and also to kind of talk about that yes, this is traumatic. And now I will admit, like that very next Monday, I was in therapy and I was doing with my therapist AMDR, which I cannot. If you can do AMDR with your therapist, do it. I cannot praise that enough. It is such an amazing therapy technique.
It's one of the favorite ones that we use at my practice. Yeah, a lot of people benefit a lot from it.
So I told my therapist what happened, and we immediately did a session with it. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I feel like that really did help me with the ability to be able to be open about it and to be able to talk about it.
I will tell you what really helped you is you have a great therapist and you have a great relationship with them, because if you're able to talk to them and feel safe, that is everything. And I'm so glad that you have that.
And something else that was sort of popped into my head, Rev, and I've always been, I guess I'm curious about this, about how I would imagine, obviously there must be examples of assaults within your community. the LGBTQI community specifically. And I would imagine there's a lot of assault that doesn't go reported because we know incidents of assault in general. But I would imagine people who may not even be out yet potentially could be assaulted. So that's going to add another dynamic to this for not reporting, right?
Exactly. And I wasn't out as a queer individual then.
Right.
So, yeah.
So many layers to it all, right? Like,
right, yeah. And Portland is known as like an LGBTQ haven. Like our community is really rampant up there, and as well it should be because it's amazing. But yeah, it would be interesting to look at those numbers because I know that when I was going through my master's program, I remember the numbers, but I don't know what they are now. But the thing is, though, talking about yes, this is traumatic. Was that so? A couple weeks ago, and this was a girl I was kind of dating. I had basically had enough of her. It was just she was very toxic, and I was like, okay, you need to go away. And so I tried to end things with her, but she was just like, okay. And then she was still being very flirty with me, and she kept kind of hovering with me around me that night. And I may not have been thinking clearly when she asked me to walk her to her car. But I did. And then she asked for a kiss goodnight. And I was like, in my head, I was like, if this gets you in the car faster, okay. I was just done with her shenanigans.
Sure.
So I kissed her, and then she immediately tries to make out with me and wants me to have sex with her right there. And I pushed her away, and I said, hey, no, you need to go home. No. And then she goes, can I tease you for a second? And I just went, I should have said no, but I just went, okay, kind of it as a question. She grabbed my hand and then immediately touched her privates to show me how aroused she was. I froze. I went right back to where I was 3 years ago. And I was just like, okay, no, you need to go. Go away. I did report her actions to at least our social community, because I was like, I can't have her around. No. I don't know if the Eugene, Oregon PD would have done anything, but I was like, at that moment, I was just like, eh. But then when I went to kind of our group elders on that for our social community, they did reach out to her. They wanted to get her story. And she said that because of the way I was flirting with her that night, which I was barely doing, basically in the end, she said I was asking for it. And I was just, and I kind of, I replied back to them. I said, yeah, flip that. And how would you guys be reacting with me?
Rev,
because we don't hear of women in that behavior that often.
Sure. But again, assault and abuse, sir, doesn't matter. It's still abuse. It's still. I always appreciate your vulnerability, friend. It's good to talk to you again. Like I said, I saw your note. I'll reach back out. Okay. Thanks.
That was a get back to me. That was a get back to me when you can text.
I gotcha. No, I gotcha. But we can talk, because then we've talked back and forth about that a little bit anyway. But I owe you that call. But thanks for coming in, bud. Good to talk to you.
Oh, yeah, always a pleasure, guys.
See you later. Take care. Okay. I think it's time that we're going to rate our friend Olive, by the way. Olive was up earlier, Olive, Gen Z influencer Olive. Tell her we said hello. Amy Dawn, how would you like to wrap this evening?
Gosh, this has been a lovely evening of started out light and hearty, lighthearted, and kind of got a little serious. And I think all of it was necessary. And back to doing what we normally do after tonight. back to countdown. We have what, 17 days now?
Yeah, 17 days. Yeah, as of tomorrow. Mm-hmm.
I need this nightmare to be over. So
we do, so that we can change the narrative. So these conversations, first of all, don't necessarily have to happen like they do. We don't have to look at a potential leader of our country as a, an adjudicated rapist and someone who just demonizes and everyone else, and his supporters tend to just call the horrible things that they say about women and members of every marginalized group there is. And I'm done with it. The fight is on. I'm done with it. But thank you, AD, as always. Erica.
I just want to kind of talk about the fact that, again, this community that you have on here is just such a supportive, open place for people to come and talk about things. And I know that I'm not the only one that values it. So, thank you for kind of providing a space for people to talk about these things, because it's really important.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry, AD, go ahead.
I was just telling Erica, thanks for always being here too.
Agreed. Thank you, Mod. Thank you, everybody, for helping us out. Thank you for, if you don't mind, if you're interested, you want to help support the channel, we're growing our YouTube presence. Thank you to Jess for helping us get that rolling. It's a big lift and we're finally there. So if you happen to venture on to YouTube and you see our channel, please make a comment, please like it, please subscribe. It's free. We appreciate that. We're trying to gain a presence over there so that we can do more stuff like these conversations tonight, because we will continue post-election. We have a plan. We will continue. This space will be a space for lots of social conversations that are necessary for the future of our country, because no matter what happens, we are still going to be talking about shit that's important for all of us. So again, thank you all very, very much. Check out the merch store. I think you might like it. Hey now. Appreciate y'all, everybody. And then have a great weekend. Again, rate our friend Olive, and we'll see you here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time.